Welcome to Directly to You. It's episode 160 of Directly to You. It's fanatixfour's podcast. Who's fanatixfour? I'm AJ with fanatixfour. I'm fanatixfour. Also Parker, he's fanatixfour too. He's also a fanatixfour. And to support fanatixfour, you can go to youtube.com/fanatixfour, twitch.tv/fanatixfour. This is the most I've ever said fanatixfour in this period of time. And you become a supporter by giving us $4.99 on either one of those respective URLs, or if you're on Twitch specifically, you can give us Jeff Bezos's money. If you have a Prime subscription, you can link it to you can link your Amazon Prime to your Twitch account. You get a free sub, you get a little bit badges, you get emotes, you get gaming time with us from time to time. You get access to our supporters only Discord. You can join our Discord for the free, where Duncan says yo yo yo. If you're a supporter and you have access to supporters only Discord, you can name Pokemon in my Nuzlocke. I'm going to talk about Nuzlocke when we talk about the games that we're playing, because I have a bone to pick. But yeah, it's a great time. It's real fun, man. You should do it. Anyway, what video games are you playing?
Hey, playing games. And if anybody's here for the first time, we've got timestamps. So if you need to skip to something like the E3 predictions, if you're here just for that, then do it. But we're going to talk about games we're playing. Let's see. Played a little bit of Fez, just kind of chucking away at that. Beat Pikmin 3, which when I say beat, it turns like the campaign, playing it once through, not completionist or anything, was like probably a total of 7 hours or something. So nothing crazy.
How dare they?
So it's definitely one to like. Some of the areas I got like half of the fruits or even fewer, where like you unlock different color Pikmin as you're going, and then there's some maps that have stuff that you would need to backtrack to, because it's like
Metroidvania stuff.
You just don't like have blue Pikmin until the second to last level or something like that. So then you have to go back to some of the other levels and use the blue Pikmin for the underwater stuff, those kinds of things. So I didn't do that, but yeah, it was like 7.5 hours. For anybody who's played it, the last level, I thought you didn't beat Pikmin 3, right?
I beat it on Wii U.
Oh, okay.
I didn't beat it on Switch. I got to like the blue Pikmin, and then I was like, there's other games.
I thought the last level was super fun, like just completely different, kind of it was like a boss fight kind of level sort of thing or whatever it was, but I just thought it was a really neat concept of like feeling pressed for time in a different way than with the other levels, where it was just like, I gotta gather all this stuff, but
I only have however much juice left.
Oh man, and like I don't know. I know that I'd heard some complaints about people saying like there's too much juice, and you can just like, you never are worried that you're gonna run out of juice, which is true. I was never worried that I was gonna run out of juice. But at the same time, like, I don't know that you were ever supposed to feel that way, because the whole premise of the game is let's bring back tons of juice for because our people are starving. So let's bring back tons of juice for them. So like, I'm
coming back with 3 days worth of juice after your
but it felt like garbage.
Also, I don't know if difficulty, like what difficulty are you playing on?
I think just normal.
Maybe that changes it, because I know that there's like a very hard mode in this version, so maybe that makes it harder to get juice.
That could be. I know like one of the
juice.
Yeah, that's true. I know one of the differences with the harder mode is that you can have fewer Pikmin out on the field. So that's a thing. But I feel like maybe there was some kind of interaction with juice that was different too, where like, it was like one per person or something like that.
Drink more juice.
So I don't know, but yeah, all that said, Pikmin 3 is great. So played those two. And then the last thing, because I haven't been playing a whole lot, but I have been playing a little bit more Smash. So that's been fun. You and I talked about that last night.
We did. Before we talk about Smash, because I have things to say about Smash.
Yeah, I figured.
This freaking Pokemon Sword Nuzlocke, dude. This Nuzlocke, it kills me. And it always goes back to the whole thing about people being like, Pokemon Sword is too easy. It's not. It is not, especially if you think it's easy and it's because the amount of things that they give you to allow you to make it easy. Please shut up, because it is very easy to not make it easy. You know what I mean? And it doesn't even have to be a Nuzlocke, but if you're going out of your way to like always grind for candies and do like max raid battles and stuff, because I did that for like to go back to the Nuzlocke to grind. I just got some medium candies or whatever, and then brought them up to the levels that they needed to be, because that's how the game is like designed, where it's like, oh, they're probably going to go in the wild area and grind, and then they're going to have crazy leveled Pokemon. So there's like a jump. They're like you're like around the 20, like late 20s, early 30. I mean, not even early 30, like mid to late 20s. If you're just playing the game naturally, and then you go to around where the 4th gym is, and it's the Pokemon in the wild are like 33, 35. So trainers are even more powerful than that. So even with that, like playing it like a Nuzlocke and like not having 13 different teams for every situation, I went in there and literally I had one Pokemon that could do anything against me, and even that one Pokemon got wrecked because her Pokemon have Brutal Swing. So it's like, you think you're going to come in here with psychic types, do you? Nope. not doing that. So it's like, I don't know, man. Like, you are making the game.
I remember that happening. No, I mean, I would definitely agree in that. Even playing it when I was playing it just normally, there were a couple of times where there were level jumps. There's like, oh, I need to go grind right now. Like, I just didn't necessarily organically. I think my complaint would be more akin to it being not too easy, but too like linear or simple or something along those lines, where it's more about the structure than it is about the like, because like, I mean, even battles and stuff like that, you know, can be, if the AI is good enough, then like it can just be hard, and they can have, I mean, like, her having Brutal Swing, that kind of a thing, which is a dark type move, right? That's the caveat there. It's like, no, that makes things interesting, and that makes things not particularly easy if you're coming in planning to just like steamroll with a single type with super effective moves and that's it. So
like, and to me, it's like, I don't necessarily think this game is hard. I just think it's the same as every other Pokemon game. They just give you more room to play the game, because grinding is not playing the game. Like, grinding is going out of your natural cadence to make sure you're able to play the game. So they, for the most part, they try to make that more natural, because even grinding doesn't really feel like grinding, because you can be in the wild area and it's like, oh my god, I'm doing raids and I'm exploring and I'm like doing the open world thing, it's sick. So it's like kind of masks the whole like grinding aspect, and you can even do it with your friends. Like, you can grind with your friends, which makes it feel even less like a grind. But all that to say, I don't know about the Nuzlocke. Might do something else weird with Pokemon Sword. Because every time I lose it, it doesn't feel like I lost it because I made bad decisions. It's like I lost it because I don't have access to the same thing everybody else has access to. Where it's like, oh man, I lost that one Pokemon because that trainer had Brutal Swing and I didn't know that, but I have revives left and I could just super potion. But my rules, I mean, obviously nobody can use revive, but I couldn't use items in battle to heal them, or even status afflictions. So it was like, right there. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's rough. Yeah, honestly, I've been like kind of itching to play Pokemon recently, but something about like don't specifically want to play Pokemon Sword. So I'm actually, because of that, looking forward to, because I've only played Gen 4. I've only played Gen 4 like I think once, maybe twice before. So yeah, something about just like simple, straightforward Pokemon. Even, I mean, it's not that straightforward. You know, it's mid-gen Pokemon in terms of like there's complicated stuff in there as well, and it's well balanced and all that. So
like I'd say Gen 3 was like the first gen that resembled this gen competitively, but Gen 4 like pushed it to the next stage because online battling was a thing. So they're like, oh yeah, we really gotta, and plus like link cables weren't a barrier, so it's like all you need is the system now, and you could just battle your friends and battle people online even. So yeah, I can
but yeah, I mean, I feel like as far as Nuzlocks and stuff, it does feel like those games are probably a bit better tailor-made for, not made for Nuzlocke, but Nuzlocke just apply better to those as opposed to Pokemon Sword and Shield. Like, yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Like you said, I think they want to let you explore and spend time in the wild area without then being like, oops, I'm now 10 levels stronger than everybody else just because I had a good time, you know?
Right.
But then for a Nuzlocke, that makes it complicated.
Because like that thought to me was, I was like, oh, I'm going to be like broken. I almost I would let the propaganda seep into my playthrough where it's like, all right, yeah, the wild area makes it easy. But even then, like, even once I was like, okay, I'm going to like at least just use the wild area to get on level at this gap. Even then it was still like I got freaking wrecked. So it's like I went too far to try to make the game hard.
Right. Yeah.
So it was like,
yeah,
and maybe I'll like lift the healing thing for gym battles or something. I don't know if I go back to Nuzlocke, but right now it's like there's not really anything I can do when you can just OHKO any Pokemon that I'm able to catch in the video game.
Yeah. So man, Pokemon, good old times. Well, and you said Smash was the other thing.
Smash. So we were talking about you asked me about other characters.
I did. Yeah.
And I like the thing is like I like playing Smash Brothers mostly because Pokemon Trainer is like freaking sick and stuff like that. Yeah. But whenever I'm given the excuse to play another character, whether it be I'm playing somebody that's worse than me or like now in streams or character requests and stuff like that, I'm like, yo, this character's fun too.
Yeah.
Like there's so many fun characters in the video, even characters that I hate. Like there are so many characters that I hate in this game, but those characters are still fun to play as. Like I can only think of like the Shotos. Those are like the only characters in the game that I do not have fun with, like Terry, Ryu.
Oh yeah.
Like those characters are not fun to me. Like it just like takes a whole aspect of the game away where it's like, oh, I can just keep pressing the button and it doesn't matter if you cross me up. All right, I'm just going to press A and you're going to get jabbed and then you're going to die for it. And that's just uninteresting to me. But every other character in the game, it's like just seeing like, and especially like where I'm at in the game where it's like there's just knowledge that I have of characters that I don't play from playing against them.
Yeah, that's such a thing. Like I realized just fighting level 9 characters or whatever that there's some that I understand better and so can a little bit better know what to expect. And when I like, I told you I got 2 stalked by an AI Richter, and it's because like I remember seeing his moveset when he was announced and stuff, but I've never fought him before. So there was a ton of stuff where it's like, I didn't know. Okay, whatever. Here's this, you know?
Yeah, and there's like a lot of little answers to stuff like that where it's like, oh, this person does this move, and what do I do? Like, there's moves that your character probably has that can just outright beat it, or maybe the answer is to camp them out while they're doing that move.
Well, and I figured out like because his like throwing cross, whatever that is, that was really bothering me. But then I realized like my boomerang just like it just deflects it, you know,
right.
And it's like, oh, well, that's actually really easy, and it's slow, so it's just a nuisance. But like, so if I see it, just like chuck a boomerang, and that's it.
Can you not shoot an arrow at it?
I think you can, but arrows. Maybe arrows aren't slower. I just typically charge them up so they feel like they're slower.
Yeah, you can just see that's the thing with Young Link's arrows. Like Young Links, you can spam Young Link's arrows because they come out so fast. Like so it's just like, and they're not weak when they're uncharged. They just probably won't kill, but they're not really usually used to kill. They're used to set up. It's like, all right, I'm gonna shoot this arrow. It pops them up, so that puts me in position to hit them with like a fair or something like that.
Yep, truly don't know how to do any of that.
Well, you know, I mean, you know how to do it.
In theory.
It's like,
but the premise of combos to me is like that's a whole next step.
See that, and that's the thing that I love about Smash, and that's why a lot of the characters that are fun for me to play is because all it takes to understand how to play a character in a game like Smash is that game knowledge, because everybody's moves are the same. Like just looking at Young Link, I can like surmise, oh, the side B is his boomerang and neutral B is his arrow, you know? Because it's kind of like a language, even like down Bs are usually,
it's not like counter, a Pokemon where you're like, I guess maybe he's got brutal swing apparently.
Yeah, exactly. It's like just looking at a move, I know how you did it. Yeah. And once I know how that move reacts to a character, that's where combos come from, where it's like, this stuff like the Young Link arrow, where it's like, I know that pops you up, and I know that there are moves that can follow that angle after you get popped up. So I'm going to follow that angle and then go from there.
It's interesting. I think the thing that I found in playing it a little bit more this week was like, just the mindset that I have in playing games for the most part is furthering the progress of the game itself. Like, so the game goes from zero completion to a percentage of completion, which is how I play, like, I don't know, World of Light and stuff like that. Whereas playing just the like regular Smash thing is that bar is not changing at all. It's just what it is. Other than in the background, my stats are getting worse and worse because I'm, learning things and dying. But it's just my knowledge of it that's going up, which is obviously the thing you've talked about for forever.
Extrinsic thing versus an intrinsic
yes
thing. Like Smash Brothers is like personal growth versus like growth within the game.
Which like it's easier for me to make time for whichever, I forget, the extrinsic thing where, like, all I have to do is just beat the game or get it to a certain point, and then I can feel complete in it. Whereas like it's a little more daunting to think of like my knowledge gap of it, and it's like, oh man, there's a lot there.
Yeah, but so, you got cheat codes. It's like yeah, it's literally that. I mean, that's what I gained through like doing the lessons with Tweak, specifically, where it's like if there's something I don't know, I don't have to like play it to learn that. I can just message him and be like, yo, why did this happen? And that's like the sort of stuff that you can do where it's like a lot of the whole thing, and people talk about this all the time, usually like at least when it's in regards to me, as an excuse, where it's like, oh, well, I don't play this game that much, so of course I didn't know that. But you don't really need to play the game a lot to know a lot of that stuff, because the internet is a thing. So like any question you have, even if you don't have somebody like me, or in my position, somebody like a Tweak, you can just look it up on the internet and be like, yo, why did this happen? Oh, okay, it won't happen anymore because I have that knowledge now.
And especially within matches, like I played online and was matched up with a Bowser, and he beat me, and I rematched, and he beat me, and I rematched like 10 times just to like, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna, I don't care if my GSP tanks, like it's bad anyway. So like, I'll just learn some things. And I never beat him once. I almost beat him one time. And it was like, I was mad that not like actually mad, but just like, we both went for a smash of some sort. And I was at like, I was at like 70% and he was at like 150%. And his beat mine, and I died.
Yeah, so Bowser, that's a game knowledge thing.
Totally.
Bowser has armor on a lot of his smash attacks. The higher your damage is, the more knockback a lot of your moves do because of rage. So not only do his smash attacks usually beat your smash attacks out, but he had rage, so that boosted the strength of the smash attack.
Interesting.
So it's like,
But yeah, I mean, like you said, I think knowledge wise, a lot of it too is like, there's like factual knowledge, like that kind of stuff that is the kind of thing you have to look up or know from somebody. But there's a big chunk of it that is just the like playing against somebody multiple times. Yeah. Like you just learn their moveset and learn what kinds of things they do. And like,
and that
I might not understand
that makes me
it
so much worse at the video game. Like knowing that stuff makes me so much worse.
That's so funny.
Because I'll do the thing, which I mean, it's because I learned that sort of stuff over like a course of a few matches, if not several, whereas like somebody like Tweak will learn that in a stock, where he's like, oh, you do this a lot. All right, I'm going to abuse that until you learn that you do it a lot. And while I can do that to some level with people that are like worse than I am, like I can't necessarily do that within one match against somebody that's like on my level. Like there's been a lot of times where like somebody on my level, I started the match and then they had like a gimmick or some sort of trick and they took 2 stocks from me, and then I beat them on my last stock because I figured it out.
Because that was the only thing that they did. And
or not even the only thing that they did. It was just the set of habits that they had. I understood because I lost 2 stocks, and I was like, all right, well, you're not taking my 3rd stock the way that you took my last 2. So it's just like refresh rate is how a lot of like top players will talk about it, where it's like, a lot of times people's improvement is just faster than yours because their refresh rate is higher. It's like, I got it. I understood what you were doing before you understood what I was doing. And that's why you lost,
Yeah. Man, Smash is fun. Sometime when you're streaming, I'll see if I can join or something, or we'll just play. I don't know. Because it'd be fun to try to get some, I mean, because as far as like I know that I'm vastly worse than you and Lee and other people, but I do wonder how much vastly worse. Probably a good bit.
I think but the thing is, that's a barrier in a lot of people's heads that I think is like not real, because like all I need for the person that I'm teaching, and I don't even necessarily need this because I've taught people that didn't even know all this information, but like, you know what a forward smash is, you know what a tilt attack is, you know, like that's all you need. That is literally all you need, because I can see that you're playing a character that I understand, and I'm like, oh, just down tilt and then forward air. There's a combo. Bam, you got it. You know, like just me being able to tell you straight terms and not have to like spoon feed you the entire video game makes improvement a lot.
I don't know that I've ever actually done a tilt. Like I know what it is, but I've never set up my I've never set up my button mapping to do it.
Yeah, and that's a fault of the game because like by default smash attacks are on the stick, but smash attacks are easier to do, especially
they used to be harder to do, because like
so smash attacks are usually they're easy to do because it's like a smash is you rapidly moving the stick and pressing the A button. And usually if you're playing Smash Brothers, you're moving the stick fast more often than you're like tilting it softly.
For sure.
So tilts are just something that are easier to do in the heat of the moment if it's mapped to the right stick. So it's like you're not, and also it kind of forces you, having tilt stick forces you to have better habits with smash attacks.
That's true, because I just spam smashes and it's
so it's like
they're great when they land, but I get punished a lot.
Usually you just can't, and there's exceptions to that. Like Tweak taught me that Squirtle's down smash is free, so I can just down smash and then I'm like, oh shoot, that missed, but you don't know I can do it again. So I do it again and then you die because you like, people have that knowledge where it's like usually I can punish you if you whiff a smash attack. But there's exceptions.
Man, Smash is fun. So we've been playing those games. But speaking of Smash and lots of other games, we're probably going to find out about some at E3 coming up this week. So, man, let's get going on it. There's a lot to be talked about. I'm going to share my screen in a second, but okay, so yeah, E3's coming up. The main times that we're going to find out about Nintendo games probably are, I'd imagine, in some of the other presentations, like probably Ubisoft's, probably Square's, probably Capcom. There'll be something in each of those. Capcom isn't having one, I don't think. I don't remember. But probably in some of those, they'll have some games.
Like there's a rumor right now that Ubisoft is going to announce another Rabbids. Mario.
I wouldn't be surprised. Even before the official rumor, I think people were like, "Oh, Mario plus Rabbids is going up for literally $5 right now."
I mean, it's been going up,
which is, I mean, which
most
is
of its existence.
But yeah, that seems like a super safe bet.
That was the other game. Well, I'm not even really playing it, but I bought Kakarot again on the Xbox yesterday.
Nice.
I bought like the
you gonna buy it when it gets announced for Switch this week?
Yeah, probably. But I bought it because I just assumed that it would get boosted in some way on the Series X, because like apparently it runs at 60 frames or something like that, and I didn't have the DLC, and the newest DLC just came out, so I was like, I'll buy it. I'll buy the full edition or whatever. So I'll play that eventually.
Is it on sale and stuff at this point?
Yeah, it's like $50 on the Xbox. It's the main, like just the base game is like 25, 30 or something like that. Gotcha. And then like the ultimate edition that comes with all the DLC and like skin, like a skinned flying thing. I don't know how much you know about Dragon Ball, so I don't know if there's a point of me telling little. You what it is. There's this like pole that this dude in Dragon Ball used to like transportation. He'll freaking pick up the pole and yeet it and then jump on top of it and then go to wherever his destination is.
That's amazing.
You can use that now with the DLC.
That's pretty cool.
But I didn't actually start playing it yet. Like I turned it on and did like the tutorial part, and I was like, all right, I'm bored, and then I stopped.
Man, was that game good?
It was okay.
In the end, okay.
It was okay. It's the type of game that people are like, it was the best Dragon Ball game ever because it's like the first game that's like it. And I'm like, yeah, but it still kind of feels like one of the fighting games, and they're fighting like the arena fighters are like, like they're cool because they're Dragon Ball, but they're not like, if they weren't Dragon Ball, they wouldn't be good. Like Smash Brothers is a game that if it wasn't just Nintendo characters, mechanically, it would still be good. A lot of these arena fighters, I would argue all, if they weren't their IP, nobody would play it.
Yeah, and arena fighters just in general are, I don't know, like, especially with games, because usually it's in the context of like they have powers that are so powerful and stuff. And it's like, man, it's just hard to like really show that at all.
It's hard to
things
show
being,
that and then also make a balanced video game.
yes,
which
right.
is why most of the characters in a lot of these anime ones specifically are just reprints of the strongest character in the game, because they want to give you enough options that you'll believe are balanced, where it's like, I'm not going to freaking believe that Minato is just as strong as Deku or All Might or whatever, like that sort of thing. What's his name? Mineta. That's his name.
Yeah.
The little pervert kid. Minato from Naruto.
I knew who you were talking about for sure. Yeah, man, that's. I have issues with those kinds of things and superhero things sometimes, where like, watching certain characters, or like Omni-Man at some point fighting a certain, like there was a couple robots that he was fighting that were like he was having a hard time with. I'm like, dude, no. Just no, for a couple of reasons. So, but besides the point. But nice. Dragon Ball Kakarot. So honestly, wouldn't be surprised if there was something. I think there's too many rumors and leaks and stuff. I just tweeted about it. And like,
I don't know if that's like, I don't know if it's well, they're doing Bandai Namco's doing their own E3 thing.
Yeah.
So we'll probably see a Switch game of some anime IP. I wouldn't be surprised if they're like the Ultimate Edition of Kakarot coming to Switch.
But yeah, let's. I'm trying to think the best way to get started on this. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, and one of the things that I did was go back to all of the E3 presentations that we've had so far. For during the Switch time, and kind of see what all was there, to be able to kind of get a better idea of like how many new games do they really announce, because it's really easy, I feel like, to be like, they're going to announce this and that and that. Yeah, exactly. And like, especially with as little as we know about the holiday season and the fact that they are talking about 2022 stuff, it almost feels like they could just really go all out.
Just like announce everything.
Yeah, and like maybe they do, but figured this might help kind of tether us a little bit or give some freedom. So 2017, it was 25 minutes. They had teaser for Metro Prime 4. They had Kirby, Yoshi, Fire Emblem Warriors, which all four of those were the first time we saw them. Rocket League, Xenoblade Chronicles 2. They said Pokemon's going to come to Switch. Breath of the Wild DLC, Samus Returns was in the Treehouse, and then Mario Odyssey was like the big.
Yeah, it was like the first time, because before it was like Mario game on Switch.
Yeah, and this was the first time, and they spent like 7 minutes talking about it. So that was the last, like, it was kind of the one last thing, or the one more thing, but also it was like the big blowout.
Just telling us something that we already knew.
Yeah,
but more about it.
E3 2018, we talked about last week for a bit, but it was 40 minutes. Didn't have any 3DS stuff, whereas the 2017 did. And it was Daemon X Machina, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 DLC, Pokemon Let's Go, Super Mario Party, Fire Emblem 3 Houses, Fortnite, Overcooked 2, Killer Queen Black, Hollow Knight, and then a million hours on Smash. So there was that.
It deserves, as we established at the beginning of the show.
Yeah. And I think the only new ones out of all of that was Daemon X Machina, Super Mario Party, and everything else we knew about and just like saw stuff about for the first time.
Did we know Fire Emblem was called Three Houses yet?
Maybe not. Yeah. And we hadn't seen anything about it. We just knew
Fire Emblem was coming out on Switch.
Yeah. So that was definitely
since Echoes or Heroes got announced. Well, I think Echoes and Heroes got announced at the same time. I'm pretty sure they announced all three of those during that one Fire Emblem Direct, where they're like,
"Oh yeah,
also releasing a new Fire Emblem game on a Nintendo Switch."
Yeah, and then they did, and then we played it, and it was good. 2019, 40 minutes again. We got Hero, Dragon Quest XI S, Luigi's Mansion 3, Dark Crystal. Why did I spell that with an H? Dark Crystal, Link's Awakening, Trials of Mana, Witcher 3, more Three Houses, Resident Evil 5 and 6, No More Heroes 3, Panzer Dragoon, Daemon X Machina, Astral Chain, Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, Cadence of Hyrule, Mario and Sonic, Animal Crossing, New Horizons, Banjo, and Breath of the Wild 2. And most of those we already knew about.
Yep.
There were a couple of things, like Hero was obviously, like anytime we get a Smash reveal, that's new. But Hero,
Hero was like the reveal that people were like, Yep.
Yeah, that's
there it
true.
is.
Because
Like
it had been
he was rumored for a long time.
yeah. And then, I mean, some of the third party stuff, you know, like Dark Crystal, cool, fine. Trials of Mana, you know, those things were the first time we'd seen those Panzer Dragoon remake. But like, as far as big stuff, really just the Smash announcements, Banjo, Breath of the Wild 2 was like the main things. Everything else we kind of already knew about. And then E3 2020 was 0 minutes long, also 365 days long. We saw COVID quarantine, ACAB, Murder Hornets, Wildflowers, and Bakugan Champions of Vestoria.
True, which obviously was the king of the event, obviously.
So I don't know. Takeaway from that is that like I think
Smash Brothers is almost always the biggest announcement that they have.
Yeah,
that's what I'm learning here.
Yeah. So now I've got this set up. This isn't in order, but I figured we can go kind of more just like there's just certain staples of like they're going to open big, they're going to close big, they're going to have a couple other things like shadow drops, those kinds of things. And so if we can piece together what some of those are, I feel like that might be the best way to figure out what all they've got. But then otherwise, I don't know, we just throw out other things too.
I think that the easy opener, assuming that this is their plan, which I think that there's like a possibility A and a possibility B for this.
Yep.
I think they open with Smash DLC, and it's a Zelda thing. And then they go directly from that into Breath of the Wild 2.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting.
I think that's like
I definitely think Smash DLC for sure. Why is it?
Yeah, because they pretty much all, and especially like if they do what they did in 2019, it's going to be like they open and close with Smash DLC. But I don't know for sure, and I think I mentioned this in the DLC video that day, where it's like I don't know for sure if they're going to do that. Like they don't. There's nothing that says that they have to announce both fighters. I know a lot of people are like they're obviously going to announce like both fighters and then announce that there's another.
I'm leaning towards not actually. The more I think about it, the more I feel like there's other things that they could make the big deal thing to where they're like, man, just wait on the last Smash fighter and do it later. Like, because, you know, like then they don't have to crunch for it. They can just take their time. There's definitely for sure there's going to be one. Like that's a given. And I agree that I think it opens it up because it's it is a big fun open that like there's always a little bit of mystery around it.
It is
and
like
stuff.
it's the one announcement I'd argue in any presentation that is guaranteed to be a big deal.
Yeah,
like
right.
There's games that we know and all the other stuff that is like, oh well, we know this. But Smash, no matter what, is going to make people excited for better or worse. Either people are going to be complaining about the new fighter or people are going to be excited about the new fighter. And usually it's going to be both. So it's going to be a trending topic. Everything else is like, I don't know how many people are like looking forward to this game or even care about this IP, or is it a version of that IP that everybody is going to embrace?
Yeah. So that's your option one, you think, is it being a Zelda character of some sort. What's your option two?
I think option two is it'll be, I mean, I think realistically it could be a Pokemon character too, but I'm not as, the thing is like Pokemon or Zelda is like the Fire Emblem character thing where it's like, I'm not necessarily expecting it, but I wouldn't be surprised by it. And unlike the Fire Emblem thing, I would be hyped to see either. Like,
right.
If we get a Zelda character and not a Pokemon, I'd be kind of bummed out, but I wouldn't be mad. Fire Emblem, though, I'm like, oh my god, I've had enough. I've had enough here. The only thing that made Byleth's reveal like serendipitous was that it like not only proved everybody that was like Sakurai, obviously, that sort of thing, and proved them wrong, but also is like it like actively made them upset. So it was like, you're wrong and also you're mad. Like
it was, that was a fun time. I mean, I liked the trailer in general, like, and especially Sakurai's cheekiness was like, I was living for that, because also I'm not that invested, in Smash to where like, I don't really care who it is, whatever it is, it'll be fun to just see the reactions and talk about. But I know some people were furious.
They were so mad. But yeah, no, I think that the second option that I would bank on would be like a third party character. I don't really know who or care who, but
yeah, thinking about like, so as I'm thinking about like the big picture of like, I think the last one is going to be a first party character again. I don't know who, but I mean, probably Pokemon. Honestly, that's a very solid guess, I feel like. But I do wonder if this would be, either the Pokemon or a third party character of some sort. Especially opening it up, I could see it be some kind of third party character.
Yeah, the only reason why I don't know if I can't see a Pokemon fighter in Smash Brothers being the opener, because I don't know if we'll see Pokemon game wise in the presentation.
So I'll put Zelda or third party, which third party is super, super vague, but like whatever. I mean, the other question is like, do they do the whole try to tie it into the rest of the presentation, like Dragon Quest?
Yeah,
maybe not. Sometimes they just don't.
Because like I don't think that they do that. And I've talked about this a lot too, where it's like I don't think that they do that like people think they do, where it's like, oh, okay, we got to think of our Smash fighters and stuff like that. How do we do these?
It's more like happenstance, like, oh, cool, we can just
it's like we have these two things on the docket. We might as well put them back to back in the presentation,
Yeah, I agree. What was I? Oh, I was gonna say like maybe if they wanted to have I was gonna say maybe if they wanted to have a Monster Hunter Stories 2 trailer, they could do that character, because like that I bet for them that would be easier. That is okay. Just like have a little Rathalos as the character, and then there's also the boss Rathalos.
Yep, exactly.
But like because it would be maybe in their minds that like Monster Hunter as a character is too broad, or like, what I mean? It's just
like he's
that kind of a thing.
The thing that I would want is like, or the like best case scenario for a franchise that I don't care about would be the Palamute. Like a Palamute would be dope. Like, because it would be like the easy like Monster Hunter Rise rep, because Palamute debuted in Rise.
Yeah, right.
So
I like
putting them in there would be sick. And
so I'm gonna say
quadruped.
There you go. I'm going to say Zelda or third party with a specific emphasis on Monster Hunter. But like, I mean, that's so broad that like, if we're rating ourselves on this later,
my prediction is Palamute.
Yeah,
that's my direct
Palamute,
prediction.
and I'm predicting Monster Hunter Stories 2 character. Okay. Yeah, I definitely think opening with Smash, like that's for sure. I mean, not literally for sure, but pretty sure. So, okay, skipping all of the middle stuff and going to the end, because like this is what I've been thinking about the past couple of days, is like, I think Breath of the Wild 2 for sure shows up, but then there's like you said, a couple situations that change what that looks like and what it means for literally the rest of the show. Which is like, A, are they doing Zelda 35th anniversary stuff? And B, if they do, probably that's the last thing, like that's where they spend their last 10-15 minutes. And if so, then the one more thing, because they always like to have one more thing, would be Breath of the Wild 2. At which point there can't be, I mean, not that there can't be something bigger than that, but like if they do that, then I don't think I think Metroid Prime 4 will get talked about. I mean, kind of jumping ahead a little bit, I think they will say the words Metroid Prime 4 in this presentation, but if Breath of the Wild 2 is the last thing, then I think Metroid Prime 4 is just a mention, in the same way that they've mentioned Breath of the Wild 2 recently, that they're just like, Metroid Prime 4 is going great. Here's 2D Metroid.
Yeah, if they mention, exactly. If they mention Metroid Prime 4, it's good. Because I think just off the bat, I think for sure we're going to see a Metroid thing. Like, I think for sure we're going to see a Metroid Prime, trilogy, 2D Metroid, whatever it be, and then that'll be, and also Prime 4 still working on it. Maybe we get like a teaser trailer or whatever, 2023 or 2022. I think realistically it'll probably be 2023.
But like options wise, like you said, if Zelda Smash Fighters first, and then Breath of the Wild 2 is right after that as just like a huge opening, then like they need a one more thing, and then I think Metroid Prime 4 could be that one more thing. So that's the only way. If if we haven't seen Breath of the Wild 2 during the whole show, then I think it's going to be the one more thing. And at which point it by default means Metroid Prime 4 is just getting name dropped and that's it. But again, if we see Breath of the Wild 2 early, I think there's a decent chance that we might have a small glimpse of Metroid Prime 4. I don't know. It's tricky. What do you think is more likely, 2D Metroid or Metroid Prime Trilogy?
I want to say Prime Trilogy is more likely, but like that's mostly just because like it's something that we're pretty sure has been in the works for a while. 2D Metroid seems more like a likelihood because it's been a minute since we had one. There's like some rumors of that, but I think Prime Trilogy is the only one that they kind of need to help them market Prime 4.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is like for me, Prime Trilogy is a marketing tool through and through for Prime 4. So it's a question of how they want to like how much they're talking about Metro Prime 4 and however much they do that, then Prime Trilogy gets in equal measure. I'd more likely see, I think, 2D Metroid here and Prime Trilogy and a teaser for Prime 4 at the Game Awards, something along those lines, which is what we thought we were going to get like 3 years ago and then never happened. But yeah. Okay. So one more thing, I'm going to put Breath of the Wild 2 as that's my guess. I don't know. Do you think same thing?
Yeah. As like the one more thing is contingent on what the opener is.
Yeah,
I think
totally.
whatever the opener is going to like if it's not one thing, it'll be the one more thing.
Yeah, I'm gonna put in less Metro Prime 4, but yeah. And also my thought with that is like sometimes they like to do the one more thing and then go straight into the Treehouse with that same game, where they did that with Smash for sure. They did that with Mario Odyssey, where they showed a lot of Mario Odyssey, and then they're like, and here's the Treehouse, here's Mario Odyssey. So I feel like Breath of the Wild 2 makes sense as something that they do a big last thing for, and then go into the Treehouse with it. So some of these other things, I'm just going to jump around a little bit because I don't really care.
Do it in order, yeah.
Okay. Do you have a guess for what? There's always seems to be one. What's going to be the super long-winded game where they just like, it's like the Bravely Default 2 or the whatever, where an RPG they talk about for longer than we want.
I
feel like I had a thought, but I don't remember.
I feel like we're probably going to see a Fire Emblem game, like whether it be like a remaster or something, like a Echoes sort of situation. Yep. I think they're going to spend too long on that, where it's like the history of this game.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. What was I thinking? I don't remember. Yeah, there's it's some kind of RPG for sure. Even if it's a third-party RPG of some sort, like a remake of, some like Final Fantasy or something like that. Like,
did they run out of Trials games? Did they run out of those? I
don't even know, man.
If there's more left, they're going to be that one.
Yeah. So, but some kind of RPG, they're going to talk too. That's the prediction in any case, is whether it's Fire Emblem or some other kind of RPG, they're going to talk too long about some RPG. That's, yeah, I'm just going to say, or RPG. I'm going to fill in some gaps up here that I'm pretty sure just in general, first party games that we know about, like we're going to see something more about Mario Golf, like probably
DLC or something.
Or like they show us, who like the first additional character is,
a new mode or something like that.
Exactly. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they show us a little bit more of the adventure mode, because like the opening cutscene for the story mode, because we don't know, really anything about that. And then actually, this could be the one they spend too long to talk about too. But I think Skyward Sword. I think they'll show.
I don't see them showing Skyward Sword here.
The only reason I think they would is if there's more quality of life features. But if there's no quality of life features additionally, then
I also agree. Like we have. This is just for the direct. This is just the direct.
Yeah.
So the
Treehouse. You're right.
I don't know. I think that this might be a Treehouse thing.
Yeah, I'm down to take that off and just say Treehouse. Okay, so Skyward Sword HD. That one, I mean, for sure, that's showing up in the Treehouse. There's no way it's not. Other things we do know just in general, like No More Heroes 3. Do you think that shows up here in any way?
Yeah, I think we'll probably see No More Heroes 3.
No more.
Because I still feel like we haven't seen a ton of gameplay.
Yeah, like I think I think they've shown a lot of like gameplay in terms of like just here's a little like blah 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 blah, like lots of little bits of things that you'd have to piece together. I mean, unless you know how the game works, like, you know, yeah, somebody who's a big fan of it would see the trailer and be like, yeah, I know what's going on there. But for me, who doesn't know anything, like I don't know anything. So I wouldn't be surprised if they showed like a kind of slower paced section of gameplay there. Also, I think that one shows up in this Treehouse, is my guess.
Oh, we'll probably see which studio is it? Was it? It might have been. No, I don't think. Was it how whoever was making
Good Feel?
Yeah, Good Feel.
I totally forgot about that until you just said that.
Yep.
Wow. We'll yeah. That's yes. Good thought. Yeah, that would be super cool. I'd be down for that for sure. Other first parties that we know. Pokemon Gen 4 remakes. I feel like they'll show, because especially because we didn't have the actually, before we move on from the Good Feel game, I don't know, do you have any guesses as far as like, we only saw here, I'm just gonna Google like
concept art.
Yeah,
so we know it's like some sort of samurai action adventure sort of situation.
Is this everything that we saw? It looks cool. I'm down. Yeah, and Good Feel's the same people that made Yoshi, right?
Yep.
Oh, but also they made Wario Land Shake It, Yoshi, Kirby's Epic Yarn. Yeah, I mean, I never played Wario Land Shake It, and I still suspect we get a port of that someday. But I love the art style for that game. I think it just looks cool. So this would be super cool. Do you expect it to look pretty close to this, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it will look different, but it'll like have a similar feel. It'd be like sort of like the a lot of the Breath of the Wild concept art, where it's like it doesn't look exactly like that, but we can see where they were going, right?
There's some of that Breath of the Wild concept art. The one where Link with a guitar concept art. This one, that's so bad.
His arms look so weird.
His arms looks weird. His face is just doofy. Like
he looks like from the like the cartoon. Like he has like that kind of face.
Yep. Yeah.
But it's like they knew they wanted that like painterly look. I think that it's going to be like a similar situation to that, where it's like the aesthetic is going to be similar, and some of the characters are going to look different.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. That's a good call. I really hope we do see that. That'd be neat. Gen 4 remakes, I think we see those briefly. I also think we see that in the Treehouse.
Yeah, like maybe they mentioned post game or something, because
I
how
think
Wi-Fi battles work or something. Because
because that's the thing, we just don't know. Like right now, from what we've seen, it's the same exact game, just it looks different, but like I do wonder what additional features there end up being that we just don't know about, or quality of life changes, or different post game areas or something like that. And I think this is where they show those off. So something you mentioned a little bit ago is Mario plus Rabbids 2. I feel like that's a lock.
Yeah. Unless Ubisoft, well, even if Ubisoft shows it, it might be like a mention.
Yeah, right. I guess, and like I can put a different section for other stuff, but I'm happy for any of this to be like, if it shows up in somebody else's presentation, that's whatever. But yeah, Mario plus Rabbids 2. Anything? I mean, before I like just probe for other things, are there any things that
see like something from Monolith, because they were talking about how this year is supposed to be good for them?
Yeah. Wait, who was talking about that?
Monolith.
Oh,
yeah, like they mentioned that it was like this year we have more projects to announce.
Nice. Here's my guess for Monolith is that we get a teaser for Xenoblade Chronicles X2, although I would rather it be just a different IP that they just make. I mean, prefer that.
They're working on another IP.
Yeah, that one from the fancy looking one. That's what I would like to see. But my guess isn't that, unfortunately. My guess is that we see a teaser for Xenoblade Chronicles X2, and we get a port of Xenoblade Chronicles X that comes out in the next couple months, or like, something around there. But I definitely agree. I'm gonna put, let's see, Monolith Soft. I'll say tease. I feel like if we see a new game from them, I don't know that they would give like a huge blowout other than maybe the Xenoblade X, but I don't know. I'm happy to change into that too if you disagree with some of it.
I think we might see the new IP, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Xenoblade Chronicles X, and it wouldn't shock me if that was like their thing. Like they will probably think Xenoblade Chronicles X will be a bigger deal, more surprising thing than it is.
Yeah.
because we've sort of expected it to be a thing, and they're like, I don't know, man, it doesn't seem possible. It's a pretty big game. Or like, dude, it freaking ran on the Wii U. You can't get it to run on the Switch. Are you kidding me? Like,
and like, especially because your Monolith Soft who like is notorious for people coming to you for help. So there's so I feel like if we see the new IP, then we don't see Xenoblade Chronicles X. But if we see Xenoblade Chronicles X2, probably we see X. But maybe we just see X otherwise. Yeah. No, but I see what you mean where, they would think there would be a bigger surprise. Whereas for us, we're just counting down all the Wii U ports.
Yeah. It's not an if at this point. It's a when.
Yeah.
It's like the only Wii U port that I wouldn't be surprised to see them just not do is Nintendo Land.
Yeah. Right.
Because they would have to think about that. They were like, all right, how do we do Mario Chase?
Yeah, because they could, but it would definitely require
it would either
multiple
be like
screens,
more than one Switch, or like an iPad app or something.
Okay, switching gears a little bit, and we can come back to more Nintendo stuff in a bit. Or maybe this is a Nintendo stuff. What do you think about shadow drops? What are things that come out on Tuesday during the presentation? Yep. I have one guess, but that's it, I think, for now.
I think we're going to get some sort of like brand integration situation, like something along the. I don't think that this is going to happen because it was like apparently something that they wanted to do, but it fell through. The Samus Fortnite thing.
Yeah.
Like that would be around here that I think, but I'm not sold that that's happening because apparently it fell through.
Yeah.
So
the one guess. Okay, no, I actually have two. But one of them is Fall Guys. We know it's supposed to come out this summer.
Oh, yeah. Like I could see that being something like that. Like they announced Fall Guys and they're like, also
later today,
get Mario skin.
Yeah, right, exactly. Unless, did they say, am I remembering wrong? Did they mention like it's having to be delayed or something? Fall Guys Switch delay.
I don't think so.
Oh, but unfortunately, it's summer 2021. Really? Okay, so never mind. Maybe not Fall Guys, but
I mean, they could still talk about it.
Yeah,
I mean, it wouldn't be a shadow drop, but it could be like that thing of like freaking Mario's being added because they added 2B or whatever that. Skin.
That could be. I could see that in like the sizzle reel, if anything, where like because they've already talked about it, there's not enough new to say, but they're like Fall Guys, and then they give kind of like a date for it or a time window and show Mario in it. So we're gonna say with Mario. What was my other? So the only other shadow drop I had was Pokemon Unite.
Oh yeah, they haven't talked about that in a minute.
Yeah. And partly that's because they I think there was like seemed to be some news around it in the past couple of days where like the 10-cent something seems to be going on in the background, or like a website started going up or something like that. So even if it doesn't shadow drop, which it seems like the kind of game that would, I would
Yeah,
think,
it
since
seems
it's
like
free to play.
because it's like it's free to play. It's from a big IP. People aren't
Mhm.
like they don't want to like it, so it feels like the type of game that you want to just release and not
Yeah.
even have to deal with the pushback there. It's like the people that are going to like it are going to like it. The people that don't,
Yeah.
whatever, it doesn't matter. The people that are going to like it already downloaded it without your influence.
Yeah,
Like,
right. It does seem like also, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but general consensus about the game feels a lot more positive now than it was when it got announced. Because like people that don't care about it have had other Pokemon stuff announced and launched since then. So like, you know, like who
or
cares?
other Pokemon things to be mad about.
Yeah, very true. But the people that are excited about, like I know Mitch is excited about it because he used to play. I mean, he likes Pokemon and he used to play League, so he was like, Pokemon Unite, maybe. So, but yeah, that'll be an interesting thing. I'll try it out, but I'm positive it's not going to be for me.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be for me because I've never played a MOBA. I've never had any reason to care, but now I have a reason to care. So maybe
it's true. I mean, that said, like part of the disincentive for me for most MOBAs is like I wouldn't care about the more skins or the more champions or whatever, but it's Pokemon. Yeah. So it's just more Pokemon.
I don't necessarily know if I care about that either. Like if I can get Charizard, I'm probably just going to use Charizard. Like,
yeah.
Maybe if there's like some random thing where it's like a promotion where it's like you get another free champion, I'd be like, all right, I'll freaking get Chimchar or something. And like, I mean, Chimchar, I don't know why I pulled that out because I wouldn't pick him amongst the Sinnoh starters. But if there was another Pokemon, I would pick another Pokemon up. But if I have Charizard, I don't care. I don't need to buy another one.
Have you decided who your starter is going to be in Legends Arceus?
Wait, who are starters? Oshawott.
Is it Oshawott? Oh wow, I don't even remember.
Yeah, it's Oshawott, Cyndaquil, and Rowlet. Probably.
Oh yeah.
I mean, my first
Piplup wasn't one of them for some reason. I thought
Piplup's in the wild.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. I just remember seeing it in general. Yeah.
So my initial instinct is to say Oshawott because I like Oshawott and I like Duat a lot and he's cool, but I hate Samurai. Samurai is stupid and he just like freaking threw that evolutionary line in the garbage because Duat is so sick. like Oshawott is like, oh, this one's cute, and then Duat is like freaking dope, and then they're like, oh, okay, but what about Samurai though? And I'm like, all right, sign me out. I went off of this boat. So I don't know about Oshawott. Probably Cyndaquil, I guess. I'll have all three, but
you're right. Yeah.
Like, but I'm probably going to pick Cyndaquil.
Oh, I want somebody I feel like was speculating that the reason for those ones is they're very like because Rowlet like or Decidueye has like a bow and arrow and it like
I watched a Noggin or what is that channel called? Noggin something.
Lock, Stock, and Noggin.
Yeah, okay. I watched one of their videos. They were talking about that. I was like, that makes sense.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Cyndaquil doesn't make necessarily sense with that, but I guess there's not a fire starter that has like weapons or whatever, you know, feels feudal or something. That said, though, speaking of that game, I personally don't think that game's going to show up at E3.
I don't think if we see, I think we'll see one, but not the other.
Yes, right.
So like if we see Shining Diamond, we're not seeing Arceus, but if we see Arceus, we're not seeing Shining Diamond.
Yep. Yeah, I feel like they've got plenty of time. Yeah.
I always do that, and I'm always going to do that.
I got a Diamond Pearl and Shining Brilliant, you know, Gen 4 remix. But yeah, no, I don't think that one's showing up. Also, okay, in that category, how do you feel about whether or not Splatoon 3 shows up here?
I think that like them specifically mentioning 2022 opens the door for that because that's like the 2022 game that we know. But I just don't know what capacity that like the only way I could see them showing Splatoon again is if they give us a direct date for Splatoon 3. So because
I feel like, or if they like really want to talk about it in the Treehouse for some reason, but I would just think they would just do I think they're just going to be doing some tree houses throughout the year.
Yeah, it would have to be some sort of blowout. Like we would have to see like, oh, this is how the story mode is different, you know. If it's not that, then they're giving us a date, and it would have to be early, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I can't see them re-showing a game to be like holiday 2022.
Yeah. I mean, even if it's like summer of next, like my guess is that it comes out like July of next year.
It's a summer game.
Yeah. And so then at that point, they just talk about it next E3. So for me, I'm pretty confident that Splatoon 3 doesn't show up just because
I just don't
they've got plenty of time to talk about.
Yeah, I don't think the reasons that they would usually show Splatoon 3 are going to happen. So
yeah,
so it's like I could see it happening if those things were a thing. Like if they were like, all right, this game's coming out in February. Like I could see them showing it, but like
yeah. Let's move over to some third parties. Just like we could rapid fire them. This is total shot in the dark because like it could be anything. I wrote down a bunch. My main prediction with this is that we're going to have one or two. This is a broad thing, and then there could be any number of games that show up as this. Is one or two like big, strong games, kind of a thing. Similar to
like a Witcher sort of situation.
Like Witcher, and whether it even be on the cloud, like Control or Hitman 3 or something. Like I think there's going to be. Whether
another
that be
game that's like nobody ever thought that this would come
exactly. I think Nintendo seems to like having a couple of those a year of like, whoa, no way. And so my guess for those would be like Resident Evil 2 remake, Resident Evil 3 remake, one of those, or
it could even be Resident Evil 8.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, or Resident Evil 8 could maybe be, depending on how stuff is with this, Final Fantasy 7 remake, if again depending on how
it was supposed to be like a timed exclusive or whatever.
Yeah,
but also like I don't know how Intergrade messes with that.
I know. I haven't looked up anything about Intergrade. Is that
I don't care about any game. It's like whatever.
Is it a follow-up game, or is it like a re-release of the original, or
it's like I don't know,
or like an update or something?
It's definitely an update. It's like as far as like the PlayStation 5 specific stuff go. But also there's like content with Yuffie, I think her name is.
Interesting.
And she's like a ninja girl. She got like a freaking big old shuriken and like a animal hoodie of some sort. I think it's like a 1.5 sort of situation where it's like this is a little bit of content from a little bit later on in the story, but not like full sequel or whatever.
Yeah,
but I don't know if freaking Alec, you tell us.
yeah, there you go. We'll appreciate your insight. I'm gonna put just big game. This is very broad, but yeah, that is a question. Like, how does that impact Final Fantasy 7? That one feels like a long shot anyway, just licensing wise. Like, because I feel like at this point, because they want to keep making them more and more impressive or like new tech or whatever, I would be more surprised, honestly, if the impressive game wasn't a cloud game. Like, if they did,
cloud.
So yeah, I don't know. That feels like. So my guesses are RE3 or RE2/3 or.
I think if they do Resident Evil, it's going to be Village.
That's true. I'll put Village, knowing that that's you. The other ones that I put on here, I guess these ones aren't even like specifically big ones, but it's just third-party games to come over that just haven't yet, or IPs in general are maybe Yakuza, Tomb Raider, Far Cry. Those are the three main ones that I put. Just like, I don't know, they just haven't put. Ubisoft put a ton of Assassin's Creed games, but they haven't put any Far Cry games. So like, drop some of those on there.
Plus, they're doing that Far Cry anime ?
Oh,
so
interesting. As an anime,
that's I was about to say I don't know why it's an anime.
It doesn't.
It's an anime.
Isn't no? There's a Splinter Cell show that they announced or something too. Is that
Splinter Cell too? But I think that's not an anime. I don't think that's an anime. No.
Okay. For some reason, my keyboard.
Final Fantasy 67.
My keyboard, whenever I press a 5 or a 6, like 1 out of 3 times, it'll be like, or when I press a 5 or a 7, every once in a while, I'll be like 6. You also said 6 with that, and so like it'll be like 5, 6, 6, 6, 7.
That's a big fan of 76 of
yeah,
Fallout 76.
we love. That's a
What?
Fallout game.
Nah,
I mean,
man.
that I know that wasn't a set you were just saying because the joke, but I'm gonna put Fallout.
I think we will see some sort of Xbox thing. Like we'll get an Xbox mentioned somewhere.
Yeah. That's okay. So that was a big question that I wrote down. Do you think we'll broach this topic later, but one of the question of do we see Switch Pro? I think we both know our answer for that, but we'll easy enough. No, I agree. I feel like they are just at this point, they're just going to talk about the games because they're going to talk about the games and then we'll see Switch Pro.
Yeah,
and
if we see Switch Pro, it would be later. It would be like at least a month from now, I think.
I agree. But yeah, what about like Game Pass or something like that? Like, is this a time that we'd see that? And if so, is it at Xboxes or at Nintendo's?
Yeah, I think if we see Game Pass, it'll probably be at Xboxes. It's like because Xbox is first.
Right.
So I think that they would like at least mention it and be like, you'll see more freaking Tuesday.
Yep.
But
I mean, I don't know if you saw that article or whatever thing, but like that. I mean, of course they're going to be cagey about it though, but that some person was like being real cagey about like, we don't want to talk about what we're doing with Nintendo. But like, obviously you're not going to talk about what you're going to do. I don't even who even is that.
Sarah Bond she's like the head of their third party relations or something. She does something. Nice. She's a big wig over there at Xbox.
Nice. So yeah, okay. But yeah, so what's your over under on Game Pass then?
Like whether or not I think it's coming?
Yeah, whether or not it gets shown at E3, and if so,
I think that we're going to see. I mean, we're going to see something in that realm because they've been teasing Switch specific stuff for a minute. I don't think that they would they're like Xbox isn't really the type of company to like tease for that long. Right. So like it's going to be something that is like relatively soon. Like when they started talking about when they started teasing the Series X was like not that far after it. Like when Phil Spencer just had Series X in his background and nobody paid attention. Like that wasn't 2 years ago, you know. Like, it'll be around now. I think that and like if you're going to announce it this year, where else do you do it?
Yep.
Other than at E3. You know?
Yeah. All right, I'll put it in. I'm down. I don't even know where to put that. Something. Game Pass. There it is. My baby's crying.
Oh no.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
Yep. Oh.
Head of game creator experience and ecosystem.
If we're able to, are we able to pause and then come back?
Yeah, we can pause. Hold on.
Cool. We'll be right back. We're back. For everybody that was like, no time passed at all. And for us, that was, I don't know, 10 minutes, something maybe just 5. I don't know. In any case, Nintendo. E3 stuff. Was the last thing that we talked about Game Pass, I think?
Yeah, Game Pass, Xbox. I found out who Sarah Bond is.
Hey, nice. Is she? I remember there was some lady that seemed to be the one that like 2 years ago was saying like, and we want Game Pass to come or xCloud to come to all the systems you want to play on or something like that. Is it that lady?
Yeah, probably. That's the department she's in. So
there you go. Yeah, fingers crossed. So let's see some other categories on here, and then I mean, there's going to be more stuff that like we'll just stick on here because whatever. Any like third-party games we know about that they'll give a date for? Like the only one that not the only one, but one of the ones I thought of was like Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, or like Sonic Colors. That. Those kinds of things.
I think they already dated Sonic Colors.
They did, but like, do they show it again just because they want to? I don't know.
That'd be nasty. I'd be upset if they did that.
Maybe both of those things honestly feel like sizzle reel things to me, where they just put them in there, even if there's no new information, just a date for Tony Hawk.
I can see them doing that in the sizzle reel for sure. Yeah,
I'll just put a thing for sizzle reel. Sizzle, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Sonic Colors. What do you think? There's any chance we see the Sonic 2022 game?
No.
Okay.
No way.
Yeah. I'd be tempted to agree. Otherwise, Shin Megami Tensei 5 for sure is showing up.
Yep.
So there's that. Let's see, what else did I have on here? As far as updates for third-party games, I think that's all the ones that I had written. There's probably going to be something else like that, but I don't know. A lot of those do show up in the sizzle reel, I feel like.
Are we seeing Bayonetta 3?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would be tempted to say yes, because like kind of why not? But also, isn't that kind of how we felt all the rest of the times?
Yeah, because that's where Bayonetta 3 always is. It's why not? Like we don't know anything suggesting one side or the other. So it's kind of just like,
yeah,
maybe.
And
maybe
like,
not.
I guess the question is, at this point, when do you think it comes out? Does it come out some point this holiday? Or is it not until the 2022 game? Either way, we could.
The way that they're talking about it makes it seem like it's going to come out whenever it's ready to come out.
Yeah,
and
right.
If that's the case, it could literally come out, like it could be available now, or it could come out the holiday or next year or the year after that. It could get canceled. No, it's not. I doubt it.
I'd be tempted to say we do see it and it comes out in December. Like that's kind of like feels about right to me. But
yeah, I mean, I think Bayonetta 3 is like December territory, where it's like it's a big enough game where it could succeed in spite of that usually being like a weird time. But at the same time, it's a small enough game where I could see them like wanting to put it in the like, in the like quiet period.
Where like it'll have legs and stuff, but I don't think any time of the year that they put it, it's gonna like
blow up.
Right. It's not gonna help it that much to be in November versus in
I think that whatever. It being in November, it's like it's not a big enough game for it to be helped by November. It'll actively die in November.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It would just kind of, so I'm gonna put it here. We'll see it, and hopefully we do. We'll find out. Which, man, if this year we see Shin Megami Tensei 5, which seems to be a lock, see Bayonetta 3, and even hear the words Metroid Prime 4, this is the E3 that's E3 been.
Yeah, it would be the easiest good E3 in the history of E3.
Yeah, and then also with Breath of the Wild 2, similarly, we haven't had as long to feel that way about it, but it's within that territory for sure. So what about other third-party exclusives? Do you have any thoughts on that? Or
I think we might see like some sort of Bandai Namco exclusive. They seem pretty close with Nintendo. I don't know exactly what the IP would be. I'm tempted to say like maybe they do some sort of like Tales game for Nintendo, since Arise is probably not going to make it to Switch.
Yeah.
So they do like a Monster Hunter Rise sort of situation. No pun.
Yeah. Or at least, it's like a timed exclusive, if nothing else. That'd be cool.
Just straight up be exclusive. Like maybe it comes to PC.
Yeah, that'd be. I feel
like because it just seems like the sort of game that like they're like, all right, yeah, we get that Monster Hunter. I mean, not Monster Hunter. We get that Arise is not on Switch, and we get that this franchise usually means a lot to Nintendo and has for a minute, and hasn't really been on Nintendo especially like at launch for a minute. So let's give you your own, since you can't run the one that is current.
It is funny that like
we don't want to make a game that like or make that version of the game that we run.
What all does like, because obviously Bandai Namco works with Nintendo on Nintendo properties, all like obviously Smash, Pokemon, new Pokemon Snap, some other things, I'm sure.
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing. Oh, interesting. I didn't know that. But yeah, so they do that like stuff all the time. Like as far as actual Bandai Namco games, I mean, obviously Dragon Ball Fighters and like, maybe Kakarot, lots of just other fighting game type IPs and stuff. But like, what else do they have? I guess I also just don't know what their library is. And they have some games where it's like, oh, I didn't realize that was a Bandai Namco game.
Yeah. they are like that kind of dev where it's like they have a lot of stuff that's like
Yeah.
one shots, and like sometimes it matters, other times it's like I don't really care about this.
Yeah.
Like,
But yeah, that would be interesting. The only other one that I thought about as far as exclusive, I mean, one and then maybe another one, but Resident Evil. This is just from a leak that there was what internally was called Resident Evil Outrage. It was from that data mine or whatever back. Not the data mine. It was the thing where people. What was that called? You know, where they like extort them for money by after data mining them and stuff.
oh, they like it was like a hostage situation.
That thing, yes, with information. But it was Resident Evil Outrage seems to be one that's like you said, yeah, like a Monster Hunter Rise situation where it's exclusive. At least time, man, probably like Switch and PC eventually. Yeah. But yeah, I could see that showing up here theoretically. So I'm gonna put it, but also if it doesn't, Resident Evil game. Who knows? And then I don't know, third party wise, that's about all I've got. Oh, except for Castlevania.
We could put Kakarot there, I guess.
Yeah, let's do it.
And the non-exclusive
Kakarot. I feel like Final Fantasy Classic or Final Fantasy like collection or something like that of some of the older games, because like now all the newer ones are kind of done. So that, and then also
like the NES ones, like
1 through 6. Yeah. I heard somewhere that there was also rumors of that. I was thinking of it before the rumors, but if there's also rumors, then cool, that, you know, corroborates that to some degree. So, or like maybe even if they do like a Final Fantasy 6 remake would be cool, or like HD it or something like that. That would be neat. But that, and then the other thought that had a different company, but something Castlevania, because like Konami's kind of coming back and doing game stuff. So I wonder if something Castlevania like shows up.
At this, I mean, it's always been weird that they're not making a Castlevania game because the Netflix show, and it's like, well, that's why you do stuff like that. Like,
and it could be as dumb as, I mean, not dumb, but like as simple as just a collection of other ones just that they poured over, or they do a remake of one or something like that.
They could do like the freaking, what is it, Lords of Shadow?
Well, because I think they only did up through, I don't know, I don't know Castlevania stuff enough, but they did the first like 8 games, but those are like before the like Metroidvania style ones, and like the next game,
like the 3DS one,
Aria of Sorrows or something.
Castlevania 3DS.
Yeah, Lords of Shadows.
Yeah, that's what. That's what I was thinking. Mirror of Fate.
Yeah,
maybe those, the 3DS ones.
So I'll put Castlevania, because why not? All right, third party stuff. That's about all the ideas that I had for that. Anything else for you?
Nah, I don't care about third parties.
Yeah.
This is the part of the direct where I go to sleep.
Yeah, especially if they're ports. You're like, man, I have got the other consoles that these came out on, and I didn't buy them then.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't even buy this on the console that is optimized for.
So, okay, another shadow drop. I wonder I feel like there's going to be more of them. And the only 2 guesses that I have, other than the Pokemon Unite one, would be
something Kirby.
Oh, that's I was gonna say Nintendo does their like smaller projects, like the Good Job or that kind of thing. So a Dylan game and a Pushmo game, something like that.
Have we gotten a Dylan game on Switch yet?
Nope. We got one on the 3DS when the Switch was already out. So it's been like 3 or 4 years at this point. I think it was 2017 when it happened. And at the time I saw it and I was like, I care none about this because it's 3DS. But then like, I don't know, it could be kind of cool. It's a neat IP. I feel like
I'd do it. I would.
Yeah. It reminds me a little bit of like SteamWorld Dig or that kind of thing, except for its animals, but like the same sort of like rootin' tootin' anthropomorphic things. And it's cool. So Dylan.
I'm trying to see who develops these video games.
The last one was 2018. Oh wow.
Vanpole.
Who even is that?
They make Dylan.
Okay.
They also they
they made Kirby Fighters 2 and Super
they did
Kirby
Chibi
Clash.
Robo.
Okay, yep.
Splash, that one.
Yep.
So what? The last game's Kirby Fighters 2. That game came out last year.
And that was co-developed with HAL Laboratories. So probably like, yeah, they did the
and they did another
nitty gritty.
They did
something.
The Kirby Clash and Fighters 2. Those were yearly. So maybe
they did Sticker Star. They did the direction and script for Sticker Star, which honestly probably, as far as, I mean, maybe those are some of the less offensive. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's good.
Well, I mean, direction, maybe that's like, people mad about that one because it's like stickers and I don't like
I wonder how does direction affect gameplay in terms of games or not. Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know, but it looks like I mean they just do a bunch of stuff.
Pretty close to like a
yearly
release. Yeah,
so something from that. I'm just gonna put Vanpool if nothing else, and maybe Dylan.
I think Dylan. I think if we'll see Vanpool and they mention Vanpool, it'll be Dylan.
Yep.
But maybe they'll like, if not, something that gets announced here is like co-developed by them or something.
Yeah.
They're going to co-develop whatever the available now game is.
There you go. Exactly. And then I don't know. I'll put Pushmo just because there's going to be I would guess 2 like Nintendo indie game kinds of things, but sometimes with those it's not Nintendo IPs, like the Stretchers. I would never have guessed that was a Nintendo.
So that IP. Means that we have even more like digital games to guess.
Yeah. Well, so those would be the 2 that I would guess.
That's 2. What I'm saying. Like, I don't know if they would necessarily be shadow dropped, but I could see them being talked about.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
I don't know. I see. Do we always get a shadow drop? I don't even know if that's a thing.
I don't know. Yeah, probably not.
Like I think we usually.
I think Indie World's more so than regular directs. Yeah, so I'll take.
It's common that we get like 1, maybe 2, but like I don't know if it's like that big of a category where for sure we get 3.
No, I think you're right. Indie directs typically, but then otherwise, stuff will, maybe like during the sizzle reel, some stuff, but like it's not big stuff. Or it's like demo out now or that kind of thing. Okay, so we filled out all this, but I actually had more things written down just as like ideas or things to talk about because we haven't talked about some of the elephants in the room, like Donkey Kong.
Oh yeah, true. True. It's another anniversary. It's a game that they haven't made a new one for in a minute. The last one was freaking 2013 with the port in 2018, even though the port was a while ago.
Yeah.
So I think that we're about due for a new Donkey Kong game, and I would be less shocked to see Donkey Kong than Bayonetta 3.
So with the rumors and stuff like that seem to suggest that it's 2D. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I'd be bummed out by that, but
I'm just
if it's 2D and it's not made by Retro, I'll like double it.
It's going to be a downgrade.
Yeah, because like even if it's like if it's made by Retro, I'm like, all right, let them like finish out their trilogy. That's fine. I'm okay with that. But I would prefer it to be made by literally anybody and not be 2D.
Yeah. And like honestly, what new things could they bring to it? And which, I mean, if it's not,
I'm sure Retro could bring something new,
right? Yeah, but like, and especially like finishing out the trilogy would feel fine. But like you said, anybody else and it being 2D would be a disappointment for sure. I mean, it wouldn't be it would still be like, okay, cool, that's coming out, but it would be disappointment in light of what it could have been. You know what I mean? Like, and even
I'm gonna play it. But I'm going to be like, this could have been 3D.
And even so, I was asking Ashley the other day. I was like, hey, what things just like outside of not thinking about me or
like
whatever,
what would get you excited?
Yes, what would get you excited? And I tried to just not prompt anything for a bit, and because I would have prompted Donkey Kong eventually. Like, what about a Donkey Kong? But she was like, you know what? Maybe a Donkey Kong. And I was like, oh. But I did ask 2D or 3D, and she said maybe 3D. And I was like, okay, that's the telltale sign that like, you know,
need to do it.
it's gotta be 3D. Cause like, obviously I'm going to say that, but like, Ashley has only played Donkey Kong in 2D and still once.
It feels like, all right,
so I was like,
I get this. I get it.
come on.
It's fine. I've had my fill.
Yeah. I think since then she also played like Super Lucky's Tale and really enjoyed that. And that's in 3D, obviously. So yeah. So I'm just going to say 3D. And I really hope that it's accurate. But my guess is if it's not 3D and I do think that it's going to be not like a standard formula Donkey Kong Country type game, but maybe would be something more just different in whatever regard, like, excuse me, like how Jungle Beat is different or like how Barrel Blast is different.
Yeah.
I don't know what it'll be, but different, you know.
Do we see Star Fox?
I put that in mine in orange because I'm not confident.
That's like the pie in the sky, like it's sort of plausible, you know, like pie in the sky not gonna happen is like a freaking new Game & Watch, a new Duck Hunt, a new Ice Climbers, but like Star Fox is like pie in the sky. Maybe.
Here's the thing, honestly, everything that we've talked about here feels like it could fit easily in the we're only going to announce games for 2021 category, because most of this stuff would be 2021. Like maybe not.
So like if they're going to do a 2022 game, it would be something like a Star Fox.
Exactly. Something big that they like want to be able to leave lots of speculation open about and stuff. Because like I don't think they would do like standard old 2D Donkey Kong 2022.
Also, do we see what about Pikmin 4?
Like, I put that too. Yeah.
I don't feel like they do Pikmin 3 for like no reason, you know.
Yeah. And they have Pikmin the Pikmin
3 decently, and they said that they insist that Pikmin 4 is a thing.
Yes, right.
So we got to see.
And like they have the Pikmin iOS app that's going to be coming out. So the question for me is, does that precede Pikmin 4? Is that
supposed to like tie it? Because like they kind of backed off of this now, but initially the apps were supposed to be, you know, MCU style, like hey, planting the seed, we'll come back to this later, Falcon's a thing, you'll care about him later, you know. Like they're not really talking about the apps being for that reason, but you got to think that they're kind of still for that reason,
for sure, yeah. Maybe they're just not going out of their like. Probably it was that before they were thinking, okay, we're going to have a Pikmin game. Can we make a Pikmin mobile game? Whereas now probably it's more like they'll let the mobile game ideas come to them and then use them. Like think about it in that other way.
Yeah. Like they're
like the Smash thing you said before.
It's like we just so happen to have both of these on the docket. So let's market them in tandem, but they weren't necessarily developed side by side.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I could see Pikmin 4. I could also see Pikmin 4 waiting a little bit longer because I feel like that one, as opposed to Star Fox, would have a shorter announcement to release window.
I think that they would benefit a lot because Pikmin 4, ideally for them, would have like a Fallout 4 sort of trajectory where it's like Fallout prior to like Fallout 4 was like sort of a thing, you know, like people liked Fallout 3 and it sold pretty well. After like a lot of groundswell, a lot of people being like, yo, this game's incredible, I need to play this game. And then Fallout 4 was like, it started, you know, rumors started bubbling and then excitement built for that. And then built. And then it came out and sold 16 million units in the first couple of weeks or something crazy like that. I think that, I don't think Pikmin 4 is going to sell like that, but I think that it has like a similar trajectory hype wise where it's mythical at this point. It's like this legendary, like they've been toiling away at this game for half a decade. Like
I know for sure. I mean, it's the kind of same as like Luigi's Mansion 3 similarly, and like honestly, like I expect and you expect for Metroid as well, where like I mean, not in that it's the fourth one or anything, but in that the fact that everybody's been talking about it for so long, just the groundswell and hype is the thing that's going to push it.
There's a lot of good word of mouth going on there.
It's because like I was listening to a podcast where they were talking about Nintendo stuff a couple weeks ago, and someone was like saying how they didn't anticipate. They were like, no, Metroid Prime 4 like max 3 million. Like there's no way. Just look at the sales data from all the other ones. And I'm like,
no,
shut up about the sales data from the other ones. It's like, it's fully
because
irrelevant
like
at this point.
look at the sales data from every other Zelda game.
Yeah,
and
right,
then look at
exactly.
Breath of the Wild. Like,
and like they
prior
sold
to
well
Breath of
in
the
past,
Wild,
but yeah,
Ocarina of
like
Time was like the one. It was like, yo, it's the Zelda game that sold 10 million units when combined with the other iterations of the video game. And Breath of the Wild easy cleared 20. Like it's probably going to end out its life cycle over 30 million units.
Yep.
So like sales data doesn't really matter when you look at it from the aspect of Switch is an anomaly in terms of Nintendo consoles. Like there hasn't been a Nintendo console with the exception of Wii, and there hasn't been a Nintendo console period that has sold as much as Nintendo Switch with the user base of Nintendo Switch. Like they're so much more active than home console Nintendo owners have ever been. So it just changes the whole game plan for a lot of these franchises, because they've always been big with mindshare. Like millions upon millions of people know who Samus is. They might not have played one of her games, but they know.
Or at this point, even if they don't know who Samus is, they think they know who Metroid is. That kind of thing. You know, it's like a Zelda situation.
See, the thing is,
which
like I would argue like they know who Samus is.
Right.
Smash
from Smash. Right.
Like Smash, just Smash is like people know who Samus is. And it's like to the point where it's like they know more about Samus than you would think they would, having not played the game. Because even since Smash 64, something I heard all the time was like on the playground and like, you know, just like playing the games with like relatives, friends, and like people that I kind of knew, sort of thing. And it's always the tidbit is like, you know, she's actually a girl. like that type of stuff. It's like people know about this franchise even if they haven't played it before.
And like the Ridley reveal, I feel like also helped with kind of that whole feel and everything. There's a lot of stuff going for Metroid where it's like it's just going to sell better than it ever has before, and there's no they would have to royally mess up for that not to be the case, and even then probably still would sell better.
It's definitely
just be a bad game.
It is going to be the best selling Metroid game for free. No easily. Competition. Whether or not it's going to be a 10 million plus seller, that there's a debate there, but it's definitely going to be a high selling game for the franchise it's in.
I mean, and I think for that, you know, like Splatoon 2 is a shooter that's a 10 million plus game, and this is going to have possibly just the opposite seesaw of multiplayer versus single player content, where like the primary focus would be single player, but probably there's also going to be multiplayer, it sounds like. And so even if they do a just decent job with the multiplayer, then you could,
it really doesn't matter.
You could see
like
happen with that.
The multiplayer is like, it's only there, and its only thing is like potential growth. Like if it's great multiplayer, if it's phenomenal, it's only going to be good. If it's bad, nobody cares. Nobody cares.
Right. It can't be to the game's, it wouldn't be to the game's detriment as long as the single player is good, because that's the only thing people are like really expecting.
Right.
So yes, that's it. Metro Prime 4 full blowout at E3. No. But Pikmin 4, absolutely. I don't feel super confident about seeing Pikmin 4, but it's possible for sure. And
I think we're more likely to see Prime 4 than Pikmin 4.
But I agree.
I can see it.
Okay, some also this is two small ones, but they would be pretty big, but they're just not huge fun things. Ring Fit DLC. Like
Ring Fit Adventure 2.
That's the thing. I was thinking about it in terms of like functionally. If you have a Ring Fit Adventure 2, probably they would have a second boxed option, because that's the thing. It has the ring con with it. So like, if you already have one, do you buy a second one? So maybe there would be either you could buy the full thing in the store, or you could just, if you have the first one, you buy Ring Fit Adventure 2 digitally. And then you just use the ring con somehow. You know what I mean? Like, I guess something like that. But essentially, I mean, that's what I'm thinking is like Ring Fit Adventure 1.5 or 2, like that it's, just, but like, or at least paid DLC to expand it, because at this point the people that were really into it,
the biggest thing for me, the reason why I would lean more towards like a Ring Fit 2 if they're trying to expand on it would be an excuse to manufacture more ring cons.
That's true,
because I don't think necessarily that DLC would do that for them. But I could see them do Ring Fit 2 and then have all the box copies be just with the ring con, and then for everybody else it's digital or whatever.
Yeah, or even that Ring Fit 2, like a weird thing where Ring Fit 2 includes Ring Fit 1.
Yeah,
just
right.
because
like it could be a thing where it's marketed as Ring Fit 2, but it's like Overwatch. It's like an Overwatch.
Yeah,
sort of
right,
thing,
exactly.
where they're saying like Overwatch 2, you'll get all the content in Overwatch 1, or whatever, like that sort of thing. Where if you have Ring Fit 1, you could download all the content from Ring Fit 2.
Yeah.
But if you don't, you buy Ring Fit 2, and it's effectively Ring Fit 2 to you.
Yeah.
But it has all the content from the first.
Yeah. So yeah, it's something with that. And then the other one, we talked about this last week, but I think an Animal Crossing update, and a substantial one at that is. Right.
I don't know why they would show it in their presentation if it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, right.
Because otherwise it's Treehouse.
Yeah, exactly. And like even then, they don't have like gobs of time in the Treehouse. So like, if it's not a huge deal, then like I don't even see them doing a Treehouse this year. They would have other years for sure, but like, yeah. So I feel like, I mean, we said it last week, but kind of, yeah, it feels like now or never as far as a significant update goes. Because it feels like there's people like, I mean, again, I think of Ashley specifically, who just doesn't play anymore. But I think, oh yes, similarly, when I asked her what things she'd be excited for, she was like, if there's something like really cool Animal Crossing, then that. So I think there's people like Ashley or that would be interested in playing the game more, but are just done with the growth portion of it.
For the most part, a big Animal Crossing update would be a huge deal, primarily for the new wave of Animal Crossing players. Like I think that there's definitely like a portion of the like existing Animal Crossing fan base that's like disappointed by New Horizons because of like missing stuff, or like there's no like equivalent to certain features that they were expecting, you know, like or the equivalent that is there isn't as like substantial as they would want it to be or whatever. But for the most part, that fan base is still playing the game.
Yeah, right.
Having a big update would get more of the people like Ashley that are like new to the game, like to the franchise, playing it again.
Which, granted, that's probably at least half the fan base
of the people,
you know, because like that's a lot of people. So if they could even get half the people back in.
Matter of fact, I would say that like it's probably half of half, because I think like you're new. But I couldn't necessarily see you picking it up in the same capacity that actually would, even if there was a big update. Like you might play it for like a week, a month tops, and then still fall off of it after that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, ideally they could do an update that would be self-sustaining for those people anyway. Because again, like as it is right now, like you said, there's tons of people that are just perfectly happy with like doing dailies as it is right now. But there's
not even necessarily like for us, when we first played the game, we had end game sort of where it's like, okay, this is what I want my island to be, and that's it. For them, it's like they have that end game, and then they have end game season 2, end game season 3. You know, it's like, all right, I made my island how I wanted it. Now I'm gonna make it how I want it, different this time.
Exactly. And so like ideally for them, if they want the longest return on, not even return on investment, just like people staying engaged, I feel like you could do a DLC that resets itself every once in a while, essentially, where it's like it's a quarterly island or something, like an additional thing.
You have that every vacation home.
And it just like it you know, deletes itself every once in a while for canonical reasons that make sense, where you're like, I'm gonna enjoy it for this amount of time, and then it's gonna be gone.
It's like, I'll have to start from scratch. This vacation island is leased
or you building it for other people, like something like that, where it's like, you know, and then you get graded at the end of it, something like that, where like, okay, you know, you got this many of this kind of stuff, and then that wraps up. Yeah. If they don't announce it next week, then it's a video.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. Okay, and then we'll probably. I feel like we're pretty much almost done with everything, but there's a couple other things, small things maybe, but well, this one's not that small. Kirby, yes or no?
Yeah, Kirby. I mean,
Okay.
I don't know if we'll see it at E3, but
Yeah.
I think we'll probably get.
I think there's a Kirby.
I mean, they talked about Kirby at one of the E3s.
Yeah, I mean the Star Allies was announced at E3.
Yeah, so maybe we'll get Kirby for Nintendo Switch too. Like I don't know if we'll get the full blowout reveal of the game, but maybe they'll announce it. Because I mean, Hal's they've been talking about Kirby and being like, yo, we got big stuff going on with Kirby.
I'm thinking it's not gonna show up. I also think definitely there's a Kirby. I think they're really excited about it to the point where maybe they could, because like when thinking about a one last thing or whatever, like they have to know that like this is the thing that's going to sell.
I don't think Kirby's
and definitely not at E3, but like if it's as like grandiose as they're wanting it to be, maybe a September direct opener, something like that. And then as a 2022 game, that kind of thing. And so I feel like if they're excited about it, then they'd want to just save it to have a little bit more of a spotlight then. And I'm hoping that's what the game would be. So I'm going to say I don't think it's going to show up, but I mean, cool if it does. And then otherwise, two last things.
Oh, what's the ARMS team doing? What are they doing?
Oh man. Yeah, everybody's going to be mad if we don't talk about. Everybody's talking about Mario Kart 9. And I don't
know if this is the time for Mario Kart 9.
Yeah, because that is the ARMS team. It's the Mario Kart team, but like I think the last thing they did was Mario Kart Tour.
The ARMS team is the ARMS team.
Right.
But like they have some Mario Kart people on there and stuff like that. But like I think that what's going to happen with Mario Kart 9 is what happened with Mario Kart 8, but later on in the life cycle. Like I think that they will make a Mario Kart 9 on Switch, but it will be towards the end of Switch. Where it's like the fan base is still pretty active, but Nintendo internally is winding down so that they can then be like Mario Kart 9 Deluxe, and then it like history repeats itself, and then it freaking sells.
And
like
at that point, it'll feel even like because the Wii U to the Switch felt like a big. I mean, it was just a big like transition and stopping one era and starting a new era, whereas moving into the Switch successor won't feel like that. So I feel like they'll actually intentionally carry some of that momentum over even more than they did with the Wii U, where Mario Kart and Breath of the Wild are two of the only things that they did that with, and even kind of. So I agree with that. The only reason
even with that, I think that they did it with all of the Wii U games, but it only feels like they carried momentum with Breath of the Wild and Mario Kart because those were the games that transcended Wii U. Like if Breath of the Wild was a Wii U exclusive, Wii U would have upticked in sales. Like it might have not been crazy, but they might have hit the 20 million mark if Breath of the Wild was exclusive to Wii U or whatever. And I think that like
honestly, so weird to imagine a world where Breath of the Wild being what it is and the Wii U being what it was. Imagining Breath of the Wild being exclusive to the Wii U, I mean, probably feels less weird to you because you were in it where that was
and it was like
the expectation for a long time.
It was developed for Wii U. Like even now, look at the game. Like it's a Wii U game.
Yeah, right.
The only real thing that makes it like it's kind of a Wii U game is that they took out all the gamepad stuff.
Yeah, right. But like just thinking of the Wii U's identity and that game's identity. I mean, I guess it's similar to like Xenoblade Chronicles X. There feels like a something in terms of like how I think of the Wii U, and then think about that or Breath of the Wild or something. But
it's just the timing. There's so much Wii U. Like look at the games that are big on Switch. They pretty much all of them had their roots in what they did on Wii U. It's just like if they would have timed Wii U differently, it would have just been Switch. But
so. Mario Kart 9. The only reason I would at all expect it, and I don't, is that Nintendo, I think we talked about this last week, but Nintendo was really,
we might see another ARMS thing. Like,
I could
not
see
even
that too.
necessarily banking on Mario Kart.
No, yeah. Well, I was gonna say, so this is something that like I'm thinking about in the back of my head with a lot of this is that Nintendo is pretty aggressive with their sales projections for this fiscal year, especially as far as software is concerned.
Yep.
So either that means they have just lots of different games, which is great, or they have
like
also a couple heavy
some
hitters.
big ones. Right.
And like of all this stuff, the heavy hitters I see for sure are Breath of the Wild 2. Pokemon Gen 4 remakes are going to do great, even though people are kind of mad about them. And Legends Arceus is probably going to do great.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of other things that are going to do fine. But
nothing is that
gangbusters. Yeah. There's no Mario Kart
nothing
9,
but Breath of the Wild 2.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Like Breath of the Wild 2, it's going to sell freaking 20 plus million units when everything's all said and done.
Yeah.
Possibly more than that. But there's nothing that puts them on the same level as this year, because I mean last year had a 30 million seller and then more that sold over 10 million and stuff like that. So
so that'll be an interesting thing. But yeah, so I don't know, ARMS 2, you think more likely?
I think it will be something around that, like maybe a big ARMS update or an ARMS 2. I think ARMS 2 is probably more likely than an update to ARMS.
Yeah, I would think so for sure.
But yeah, I think that they still have ARMS in their future. I think.
Yeah.
I don't think that like Min, for instance, would have been added to Smash if they just didn't care about ARMS.
Agreed. Yeah, I definitely think ARMS is coming back. It's just a question of when, but yeah, I could definitely see it. And like also I think, and hopefully they know this, but if they add a more robust story mode or single player or something like that, I think that would do really well for them as well. Like especially now they've got the mechanics set in there, they can like they've got groundwork already laid out to be able to just build off of. That will be
I think that they just gotta across the board, because ARMS is the type of game, it's like Smash where it is a like at face value, it's a casual game that anybody can pick up and learn how to play and stuff like that. But there's a lot of depth.
Super deep.
Yeah, they gotta do a better job at marketing it that way, because like ARMS at face value just looks like a casual game in a genre that is very not casual. So it's kind of like comes off as like the game that's like marketed to everybody but is for nobody. But in reality, it really actually is that game that's for everybody. So they got to do a better job at marketing that and making it clear that like if you're a sweat and you're a purist with fighting games and you don't want nothing to do with motion, you don't need to use motion, that sort of thing. And vice versa, where it's like if you don't really care about fighting games and that like intrinsic nature of like I'm going to get better than my opponent, there's still plenty of fun to be had here. It's a Wii Sports sort of experience where it's like nobody has to be the best at this, but you had fun while you played it. Like it's definitely, it serves both masters in that way.
Yeah, no, for sure. It'd be, I think ARMS 2 is for sure coming. And yeah, hopefully we see it now. The last three things are Zelda 35 stuff. We'll talk about that and whether or not what that looks like. I was going to say WarioWare, whether or not we see that. I think actually we don't see that yet.
I don't think we see that.
They're still kind of in the like talking phases.
Exactly. They're doing they're in the research phase of development here, so I don't think we see that.
But then the last thing, my wild card prediction, that doesn't seem likely at all specifically, but is an Excite Bike game that
would be wild.
that like is more along the lines of Excite Truck kind of thing, like high octane or whatever, but also wrangles, even not by name, but brings Wave Race into it as well, where like it's just Excite. I couldn't think of a word to like
Excite ski.
Well, it's just like all the things, like various different. It's like Excite terrain or whatever,
like a sports story equivalent.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking. It's some kind of Excite Bike thing, just because or Diddy Kong Racing. But like they, if Mario Kart 9 is not coming for a while, they definitely have a gap available for some kind of racing
thing.
that
Star Fox Grand Prix.
Yeah. Honestly, if we do see Star Fox, like that would be super hype. Just
I'd be down, man.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, then the last thing is the Zelda 35 35th anniversary. What all does that look like? Is that
I still think that we could see the 3DS games being brought to Switch, and I could see the rest of the Wii U ones because they gotta keep stomping on that grave. So I could see that being added to the celebration. I don't think because like when people think about Zelda 35th, which is weird because it's like everybody is like making it seem like the Mario 35th anniversary was so bad. But they're using it for the framework for everything. Where it's like, oh, but what's going to be the collection for for
and are getting excited about it, and so like, okay, well, but obviously then it was okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think honestly, probably for a lot of people, the thing that would have made the Mario one, like the make it or break it, maybe would have been like a fully new game. But Bowser's Fury was, I mean, it was a smaller.
It was that. It was like a new game, but it was smaller.
Yeah. So. Yeah, definitely the Wii U ports make sense. If Breath of the Wild's this holiday, I could see the Wii U ports being February, something like that. Yeah, it would be surprising if they didn't bring Ocarina of Time in some way, but I don't know how they would.
Yeah.
Just like, I mean, we talked about that last week. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know when they plan on doing this. Yeah. Reggie talked about how like the future of like the classics line was the Nintendo
Switch Online
classics. Yeah. So like, do we see that? Like, is that something we see? Is that how we get Ocarina of Time?
That's the question. Yeah. I mean, I guess that was a thing to talk about too, is like, I don't think we see updates for Nintendo Switch Online, but like them mentioning the Game Boy Advance 20th anniversary today, kind of weird for Nintendo. Just like they don't, I mean, maybe they do that more often than I remember, but like it kind of feels like
they do it every once in a while.
I guess they did.
They're not like Sakurai where he has a calendar for every anniversary.
Yeah. I mean, and 20th is a pretty big deal. So like, yeah, I could see that. I suspect that for those things, they come alongside, like more Nintendo Switch Online games come alongside the Switch Pro is kind of my best guess.
Yeah.
If they don't, then like we never see them is kind of where I'm at.
I don't know if they would do that because the only way I could see that, like the only like prediction I would be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Would be if it was like GameCube games or something where they're like, this can't happen on regular Switch, but it's on Switch Pro. I couldn't see them like part and parcel being like also Game Boy games, like because maybe they do like the Switch if it's Switch Pro and the way that we think it is. I don't think that they're going to market alongside something that makes it look less impressive than the best case scenario.
Right. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like in that case, they could theoretically do bring out multiple consoles, but one of them, like GameCube specifically, is only available on Switch Pro or something like that, which honestly I would not go over well.
Yeah, no.
If that's the case. So I'm more thinking just like in terms of timing.
I mean, I say that, but maybe it would, but it would have to be like towards the tail end of because people were mad about it, sort of, but it wasn't really something that people were mad about with the 3DS.
Yeah, and the SNES.
But they said the SNES games were only exclusive to that, and freaking Earthbound was one of them. So it's like, I don't.
Yep. So I mean, as far as Zelda 35th stuff, I think ports of some variety, probably like some knickknacks type things. I don't know what exactly they would be.
Amiibo or something.
Yeah, and like if they do like a Zelda 35 type game or something, I think my preferred way for what that would be is the goal isn't like for each of them.
Yeah, I don't know if they would do Zelda 35 in the way that they would do Tetris and stuff.
I think it would be very different from
and that's pretty current still, I think.
Yeah, so that's definitely true. If they were to do it, the way that I'd want them to do it is that it's not about like, because each of the games have been pretty good to be about the thing that they're about. Like Tetris is about trying to play Tetris well. Mario is about trying to hit a lot of enemies and stuff and platform and all that. So like, I think they would do Zelda 1 and it'd be about exploration, and the map is randomized every time, and you're trying to beat 2 dungeons, and the first person to beat 2 dungeons wins or something. And like, maybe they'd interact in some way, but I don't think in the way that like you kill an enemy and it goes to somebody else or something like that. But I think the main goal is find 2 dungeons, beat them, and then that's the thing. Or even a dungeon or something like that. It's got to be short.
See, but the thing with that is, I can't see it being like that, because it's like a survival sort of situation. So like 2 people could beat the same dungeon at the same time, and then what's the tiebreaker? Whereas like with the other formats, it's like there is going to be a winner. Somebody wins.
Because it's a last man standing kind of thing.
So like maybe it's just like a boss rush sort of thing. It's like you get to a dungeon, and then once you beat that, a random boss comes out, and then you beat that boss, and then you doing damage to the boss would make other people's bosses do different things or something.
Yeah, but it would be something like that. Could be neat. But in any case, that's Zelda 35th. I think my last bit with that is that, like I said earlier, I wouldn't be surprised if that Zelda 35th anniversary is the thing that gets the whole last 10 minutes of the direct all to itself.
They talk about too long.
Yes, it's just they just talk about a bunch of those games, and like luckily there's multiple things in that.
If they
so it doesn't feel too
bad. If they close it out with Breath of the Wild 2, and it's like the thing they talk about for too long, it won't feel like it.
Because there's so much to talk about there that like it's not like an RPG or whatever where it's like it's just mechanics. Like no, it's cool stuff.
Yeah.
So and then that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's everything for the directs and all that. And the only thing left would be the Treehouse. And my guess, there's 5 games there. They're Breath of the Wild 2, Skyward Sword HD, as it shows there, No More Heroes 3, Gen 4 Remix, and Mario Golf.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you feel like anything different would show up?
I think that like I'm still kind of iffy on them talking about Skyward Sword that much, and Mario Golf, to be honest with you, because like both of those games are super close and they only have 3 hours.
Yeah.
So,
and that's the thing, is I'm keeping my expectations low on that front, because that feels like their MO is they talk about things that are close. And I'm like, I don't need you to talk about these things. But they
usually talk about things that are close in tandem with things that like they do, like here's a game that we didn't talk about in the direct, and it's not big enough for the direct, but here it is. Like there's usually at least one reveal at Treehouse. So I think that at least we'll see one new reveal. It won't just be like, here's a checkup on the games that
maybe that's where we'd see like an extra Zelda thing also.
Like I could see, like, if it's not like the Kirby game we want, I could see like like not necessarily Star Allies equivalent, but like a Planet Robotobot Kirby game. Like I could see that showing up at the Treehouse, or like if they do Fire Emblem, they do Fire Emblem there. It's good, like something new. I think it's going to show up at the Treehouse.
Yeah, I hope so. I would much prefer that. These are my low expectations predictions. So, and that's it. All right. We talked about it. Before we move on to the, other parts of the show, now that we're very far into the show. If anybody's just dropping off here, we'll be streaming it on Tuesday.
Twitch.tv/fanatixfour. We'll be streaming it.
Yep.
So check it out.
Stop sharing my screen now. And so that'll be fun. I think we're streaming, sounds like, with Bob and Dan.
Daniel.
Nice. All right, and that's all the news. I didn't pull any other news things because we didn't need to.
Yeah.
I'm gonna move the camera back over here. But let's get into comments from our videos, which might be kind of fast, but we'll see. First up, from your video, you talked about WarioWare, and Shepherd Boy said, I've been wanting a WarioWare game since I first got my Switch and realized all it could do. I thought, what would WarioWare be like on this? Google search later. What? There isn't a game out?
Yeah, it's crazy, dude. I know. It's so crazy because like it's just like the perfect game for that.
Yep.
to be like, look at all the stuff that the console can do. So it not being on Switch is very weird.
I mean, if it does feel like 1-2 Switch was the thing that, you know, kind of took its mental place at the beginning,
right?
But
which is weird because like if they just called 1-2 Switch WarioWare, people would have freaking loved it. But because it was this random new thing that was like casual, also people are like, oh, $50 for this or whatever. It's like,
I still submit that it should have been a pack-in game.
I don't think it should have been a pack-in. I think that if it was WarioWare and it was a pack-in,
no,
people would have been like, this is insane.
Yeah,
this is crazy that they made this a pack-in. It's such a good deal. But just the fact that it's called a 1-2 Switch, making it a pack-in is like weird. Like, I think the bad decision that they made there was making it 1-2 Switch. Like, they could have, and they did sell a lot of units with it costing money. The Switch already, like, it didn't need a pack-in.
I guess, I mean, obviously the Switch is doing great now, so it's not like it mattered. It didn't need a pack-in, like you said. I think the benefit of it being a pack-in would have just been
it would have just made people feel better about it,
feeling better about it, but also like the party, like showing the console off kind of thing, where like at the time a lot of people were still unsure about the Switch. I mean, then again, maybe it would have made them just more unsure about it because like, oh, this is just a gimmicky console or something like that. Like,
I just don't see the positive that would have really happened there. Like, all it would have did was like made people feel better about their purchase of the Switch, because it's like, oh, I got this game. But they didn't need that, obviously, because they sold more of the actual system seller than they sold consoles at launch. So like, it to me just felt like people wanting more than what it was reasonable.
You mean the actual system seller Bomberman?
Obviously. But no, like that whole argument just felt like, I want a free game. Like if they sold 4 million copies of this game, obviously it didn't need to be a system seller, because they didn't sell 4 million copies of Bomberman R, and that came out at launch too. Like, they should have just called it WarioWare if they wanted it to sell a lot more than it did, but they didn't need to do that either.
M567DK said there should have been a WarioWare amiibo already out by now, but considering how many are there, the many cast members of the WarioWare series that deserve amiibo.
I mean, I can see why there isn't one, because there's no like Wario game,
right?
Like warrants that. Even WarioWare, like WarioWare Gold had amiibo support, but it was like a tongue-in-cheek, like, I'm going to draw the amiibo that you have. And I don't think that it would have been funny or interesting if it was like, draw Ashley.
Right.
Here, though, if it was like a game all about Wario and the amiibos did something, and like kind of like the thing that I said, like in passing, where it's like, if you could make your own, like, you know, like the WarioWare modes, or like game types or whatever, where it's like, it's the Wario one and it's the like the 9-volt one, and then like, if you could make your own set of micro games with the boss at the end and stuff like that, I could see that being saved to these amiibo.
In the same way that like the Smash amiibos and your fighters are on there, that kind of thing. I could definitely see that. Otherwise, I mean, the tricky thing now is just amiibos are just kind of like, they're becoming more figurines that happen to do an extra thing rather than what they used to be.
I think that Nintendo just realized that that's what people use them for anyway. Like, amiibos value has never been what they did. It was just the fact that it's like, oh, I can have this like Nintendo licensed figure for $12. Sick. Like, people almost get more mad when the features are like something that feel necessary.
I mean, like Skyward Sword, for example, you know, like that's it's rough. Uraraka Gang said, I find the videos of people playing WarioWare as a group to be quite enjoyable, so I would be down for one on Switch with online play.
It'd be sick. Hype. Also, that's Rise. But
nice. And Star Mix said, I'd definitely buy a WarioWare, but as far as what I want to see, I suppose I would just want something like a bunch of the old games combined. So something like an ultimate experience, I'd easily pay 50, but I'd pay 62 in a heartbeat since I really enjoyed WarioWare.
Yeah. I think that that's just WarioWare Gold. And I think that it's possible, like the reason why they would say 50 is that they would port WarioWare Gold. Which is fine. I'd be fine with that. I'd pay 50 for that.
Honestly, oh man, that does. I mean, that fits with like the Metopia thing as well.
Yep.
And yeah, I guess the question it can.
I
the
think
Switch
that
can do all the things that WarioWare Gold would need it to do, right?
No, because there's there's
screens.
microphone stuff. Also,
yeah,
the 2 screens, but there's the microphone stuff that is like the hard stop there.
So they would have to. They probably
take those mini games
some
out
of those games
yeah,
and add a bunch of other ones instead, so that it can be the deluxe edition or whatever. Like
WarioWare Platinum. But no, like I can see that there's 2 possibilities for it being $50. Either they don't believe in WarioWare anymore and they're like, WarioWare. Or it's a port. And if it's a port, it's WarioWare Gold.
I think that's super, very astute. That was WarioWare. And then so I made a video on Breath of the Wild 2 along with Olivia from Zelda Universe, which was lots of fun. And Ian Pittman said, I never thought about the Zonai up to this point, but now I'm going to be a bit sad if it's not a theme in the game.
Yo, success.
I mean, 100%. And like, I felt the same way. And then especially listening to what Olivia said, I was like, oh, man, even more so. Like, it seems, it seems like something in that trailer that they gave us that there's like enough of that in there that like,
enough for people to like start speculating and convincing themselves that's a brilliant idea and then like expecting.
So where like it could be more subversive stuff, or like not subversive stuff, but more just like subtle things throughout the game that's just still a mystery. But like seems like, especially, I didn't realize that in Creating the Champion they specifically said it's the greatest mystery that's left unsolved. So we're like, come on, if you're not gonna then do something about that, like that feels a bit mean. So hopefully that's a thing. And it's, I don't know, like I just like the idea that like the Sheikah was like the whole Breath of the Wild was built around Sheikah.
That
like,
that whole thing, like all the stuff is like their tech.
Everything, you know, like the whole reason Calamity Ganon exists and all, like everything is around the Sheikah. So it would make sense for this, you know, the fact that like the hand and stuff, we don't know that specifically looks Zonai, but it looks not Sheikah. So you know, if all that stuff kind of comes together so that now in this game the Zonai is the main thing, like that would be dope.
That'd be strong theming.
Yeah, and I like it. Basim said, here's mine. Breath of the Wild 2, this is for the direct in general. Breath of the Wild 2 stuff, Kirby game, Smash character, Mario game, Prime 4, and a revival of a dead franchise or semi-dead franchise like Kid Icarus or F-Zero.
I wouldn't be surprised by that. I'd be kind of surprised by Mario. I feel like Mario, like it just feels like they're like sitting on something big.
Oh, you know what? I totally forgot one prediction that I had.
Plus they had the 35th anniversary just now, so it'd be weird unless it got delayed. Like they planned to do a new Mario game and it got delayed into now.
I mean, I was gonna say, so regardless of, even if before the Mario Rabbids 2 leak type stuff happened, I was going to say just some kind of Mario spin-off game. And Mario Rabbids 2 makes sense. I don't know that was the first one I was thinking of, but Super Mario Party 2. I forgot to mention it before, but
I don't know if I would like, I don't know if Basim was talking about that as like, because in my brain Mario plus Rabbids is the Mario game. That's a Rabbids
No, for sure. I mean, like, I agree, because if you say Kirby game, you don't necessarily, you think Kirby,
like I'm not thinking Kirby
fighters or whatever. So so I would agree, as far as like definitely not a mainline Mario game, but even in addition to Mario plus Rabbids, I could see just another Mario spin-off. And my front runner being Super Mario Party 2, but
How did we not mention Mario Party?
It was on my list and I just like totally skipped over it.
I honestly, I would be kind of surprised if we don't see Mario Party soon. I don't know for sure if we'll see it at E3, but like I think we'll probably see Mario Party, and I think that a big part of their branding will be online. Honestly, I think that they're like that the fact that they brought it over to Super Mario Party was like,
Yeah.
we figured it out. we learned how we're going to do online now. We might as well, like, we
I'm
use
gonna
it,
say
like maybe
I
they use
will
Super
be
Mario Party as
yeah.
their guinea pig for that or something.
Yeah. And I mean, what if, the it was part of the catalyst for the new online
Like, yeah,
framework and all that kind of stuff, where they were like, man, there's games like Mario Party that just like aren't working on the thing that we're doing right now, so we'll do something different. I don't know, that seems like maybe a bit of a stretch, but like, thinking about
Mario
it,
Party's not using it, it's using the old tech, but
yeah, I'd be surprised. I almost would be surprised if we don't see Super Mario Party 2 at E3, because I don't think it would show up in a September direct.
Yeah, like maybe that would be their, like, one of the new things that they would show at Treehouse Live.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because I don't think it would be at a September direct, because I think they would want it to come out in holiday, and I don't know, but like October kind of time, like they did with the other one.
Yeah.
That's not, because I mean, they have a very specific demographic as far as like, I mean, it's the people that are going to buy, like, going Black Friday shopping and stuff. Like, that's the kind of game that you pick up at Super Mario Party. So yeah, they don't want to announce that too late. They don't want to have that come out in February. Like, that doesn't make sense. It's got to come out in the holiday time. So yeah. I say we see it. Uraraka gang again, Rise, what's up? Said, I want playable Zelda the most out of everything they could do for Breath of the Wild 2. I'd appreciate a more detailed Hyrule as well, one that is a little less empty and has more zones, such as an underground.
Yeah, I think that it would be like very strange and almost a failure if they don't add a new level to the world,
right?
Like if they don't do the underwater, maybe they do underground or vice versa. Because like, just looking at the trajectory of the game and like what the zeitgeist was around that, it was like how everybody looked at that versus Horizon Zero Dawn. So it would be weird if Horizon Zero Dawn did something that Breath of the Wild didn't even attempt. Like, I feel like it's going to, like, I would be shocked if Horizon didn't look, on some level, obviously not visually, but like gameplay wise, like the level of depth, like the scope didn't look unimpressive compared to Breath of the Wild 2. Like, I would be shocked, honestly. And I think that is going to be part of it. Like, maybe they're like, oh, the underwater's a thing now, but it's like this super like surface level thing. And Breath of the Wild is like, but we have underground, and it's like very deep, and there's all sorts of crazy systems that is completely different from above ground and stuff like that.
Because like in that game, Phoenix Rising, in Immortals Phoenix Rising, there was underwater stuff in there. I didn't get to a ton of it, but there was underwater stuff. There were some underwater puzzles and stuff, but it was pretty shallow.
It was like
pun intended.
Ocarina of Time levels of
and like maybe even less than that, where like you don't have iron boots or anything to be able to like walk around and do things. It's just so I could see that happening. Like, I haven't
the sort of thing that, like, if Breath of the Wild is the sort of game that if they add something like that, it's because it's intrinsically linked to the gameplay. It's not something that's like, this is something else that we could force the player to do to kind of change it up a little bit.
Right. So it's funny because I commented on this comment, and I was like, it's funny that you feel like the world was kind of empty, because I felt like it was super packed. But I also acknowledge that the things that I'm thinking of are like acorns and Koroks and those kinds of things like that. There were like things littering the world to find, but as far as like structures and as far as like civilization and all that was the whole point, is that it's like super barren.
Exactly. Like, to me, when people say the game feels empty, it feels like something that they're saying the game is missing, but the game wouldn't make sense if it wasn't how it is, like, we're in a freaking post-apocalyptic world, and like, to have it bustling with all this life would be like, what? And still, it has a lot of life. It just makes sense that the life that's there.
But it would be interesting if now, after Calamity Ganon is defeated and stuff, like, this is 5 years later or something like that, and stuff has started to be built back up. So like that some of those things would just be different, that there's some more civilizations and stuff.
Like some places have been like renovated and rebuilt. And
So that would be interesting. But yeah, I agree with everything you said as far as like it having more levels and more like, yeah, like I think a Skyloft kind of area, something equivalent to that would be interesting. I mean, that was what I mentioned in the video, I guess, is just that like if it had a Skyloft ground level and then an underground / underwater area, that would be a neat way to mix things up. But it'll be really interesting to see after the game's out, be like, oh, that's what they meant about it being based on the same Hyrule. And I hope that it's that feeling and not like, oh, yeah, that's what they meant.
It's just literally Hyrule.
So yeah. And then the last comment I pulled from Shepherd Boy, and it's long. Here we go. Personally, I have a list of predictions. Okay, here we go. It's a deep inhale, so I did it. The game will be called Might of the Gods. All right. I think
I think even if that was like a beta name, as soon as Immortals Phoenix Rising came out,
I mean, I can't think of a single good name, you know what I mean? But like I can also hear other names be like, yeah, probably not.
Yeah, it's like
but yeah, sure. I think a new enemy that'll most likely be introduced are more of a humanoid form of guardian-like villains. Yeah. I mean, I guess that kind of would fit in maybe with what I was thinking with like the Dark Nuts and stuff too, where they're, I don't even remember. They're not like people in armor. They're suits of armor that come to life.
Yeah,
right?
They're like possessed or something.
I think. That's what I always interpreted it as, but I didn't really know. So, but that said, like I feel like that would be kind of that where like if they're, especially if it's Zonai kind of stuff and like it's suits of armor that are set up by that civilization down there, they just come to life, and then they're more humanoid, guardian-like in terms of like what they're doing. But there will also be humanoid forms of Malice. They won't be as tough as the guardian-like foes, more like in lines of the undead. Maybe Malice descends down underground with Link and Zelda and discovers darker zone.
Who is this Link that you speak of?
Who even knows? You mean boy Zelda and girl Link? That's who we're talking. Okay, exactly. Discovers darker Zonai magic to help resurrect Ganondorf into a nigh omnipotent deity that only Link, boy Zelda, with the Master Sword and girl Link with the power of the sages within can ultimately defeat for good. I'm down with that. Each 3D Zelda game will get a little bit of representation in this game. Yeah. Well, that was where I was.
In this game kind of happened in
Breath definitely. And that was what I was thinking too. It would be fun to have the Skyloft / Wind Waker, like have some of those things. But yeah, exactly. Like you said, that was why people had such a hard time placing it in the lineage, was like, oh, it's
because there's a little
they talked
bit
about
of
Twilight. They talked about like oceans and stuff. I believe the ability to travel the skies will be accessible as well as the waters. Link will inherit magical powers, and magic will once again be a factor used like with earlier Zelda games with that green bar below your health. These powers will be collected throughout the game that'll center around the 6 stages: fire, water, forest, shadow, spirit, and light, representing each of the races across Hyrule: Goron, Zora, Koroks, Sheikah, Gerudo, and also Rito and Hylians. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know about I still don't. I know people want that sort of like progression where it's like you go through this game and they give you more and more and more and more. I think that's just antithetical to how they designed the first game.
It's the tricky thing there with like it being an open world type game or whatever. They would have to build it in such a way that those things are all optional, or Metroidvania-y, where like they unlock some secrets but aren't, like they can't be walls. It has to be like, oh, I can go in that window. I mean, that's why like when you beat the divine beasts and stuff, you get abilities that are helpful, but they're not like, they don't change the way you play the game other than maybe the Rito
it just makes certain things easier. Like even the Rito power up,
Rivali's Gale, that's the one.
Like that makes it easier to traverse the world. You could still get to those places if you're smart,
totally,
but like it doesn't wall you off if you don't have it.
So I mean, it would be fun, but I feel like I wouldn't choose the fun thematic stuff over the game design portion of it. So if they can make it work with both, then I'm totally in. So we'll see. Zelda will discover that she's the descendant of the leader of these sages and act as the seventh sage. And, you know, you mentioned Zelda as maybe a playable character, similar to Animal Crossing Age of Calamity. I think they might allow the ability to swap between characters.
Yeah, that's something that, like, since they started like showcasing this game, I was like, it's probably going to be like either Grand Theft Auto 5 situation. I was like, is it 5 or 4? It's 5. Or it's going to be a co-op or both. You know.
Yeah. Do you think at that point,
or
if
even
you can
Portal,
switch between
like
the
Portal
two?
2, like the fact that a big part of the inspiration for the first game was Portal, maybe Portal 2's inspiration for the second game.
Interesting. I don't know enough about Portal 2 to know. Is it co-op
There's
or
co-op? Yeah,
there's
like a whole co-op mode in Portal.
Gotcha.
I think Portal 2, like there's the co-op story mode and then there's like the regular story mode. But either way, it's like both of them. It uses a different thing or a different character.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. So I mean, yeah, I think Zelda like it'll be really annoying if Zelda is just Fee or whatever, you know, like, because to be perfectly honest, there's a number of times where Zelda is kind of an annoying character anyway in the Breath of the Wild Age of Calamity saga, like plenty of times where she's not, but also definitely sometimes where she is. And some of that was like growing pains of her character arc, and I'm looking forward to this portion of it where she's grown out of that, and she's not like Age of Calamity. Just so much of the time she was like, I'm just not strong enough and stuff. And it's like, no, you just killed more people than some of my other characters. Like, yeah, you're totally strong enough. But now she knows she's strong enough, and that's great. So like, yeah, hope that's a hope for sure.
The thing that I want, and this is like, this is a tangent.
Yeah.
But especially after Age of Calamity and all that stuff, it's like, put her freaking in Smash, dude. Like, yeet this other Zelda. She's toxic and I hate her. Put the Breath of the Wild Zelda in the
Yeah. Agreed. That'd be fun. Yeah. I still kind of wish that Link had gotten more of a Breath of the Wild overhaul. Like just for fun, you know, like Rivali's Gale and like any of that kind of stuff. Like people made Sony predictions about what that would be, and then they were like, he's got remote bombs.
Yep. It is kind of weird that they took the hook shot and didn't give him the paraglider. That was the only real shocking thing to me, because like other than that, the only way that they could like fully Breath of the Wild eyes him is if they also made him like Robin, where like his weapons went through cycles and broke and stuff like that. Like I think that would have been cool. It would have been a good like homage to Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, that's fun.
But like other than that, it's like, oh, he has the Master Sword, so that's why it doesn't break. And like, you know, and they added the beam thing, so like that's kind of like, I mean, and that's in the other games too, but it's like confirmation that he's using just like the Master Sword and not any old sword, because he has the beam, you know, like.
A last prediction about Zelda 35th anniversary. If they don't do some kind of Zelda 35 kind of thing, I think there will be some kind of like the NES remix of Zelda or whatever, like something Zelda 1, but different. But I don't know what exactly. But
they're going to drop the freaking the prototype.
Oh man, yeah, that would be so cool. Oh man, I would love that so much. And then finishing up, or if I'm totally wrong, and that's a Hyrule Warriors exclusive, allowing a second player, whether locally or through online, to play with co-op. I really hope
online, that would be freaking incredible, cool. Dude. Like that'd be so hype.
Yeah. And then he said, Olivia from Zelda Universe was very insightful and great to hear from. Following now.
Yeah, she's good people. We gotta have her on the show next time.
Yeah,
like if they do a Breath of the Wild blowout, we gotta hit her up.
Man, imagine next week if we get Metroid stuff, Breath of the Wild stuff.
Yeah, we gotta have like Rob and Olivia on,
and Max comes on, like just everybody. Like, all right, so that's it from our videos, and now Q&A.
Okay, I'm gonna go get my food. I don't know.
Okay.
Can you vamp?
I absolutely
should I
can
pause?
Vamp.
Okay,
no, go for it. I can vamp. Go get that food. All right, so here's the thing, everybody. E3 is going to happen, and I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. AJ is. I'm just kidding. He's gone now. So I was going to pretend to vamp about him, but he can't even hear me. like jokes aren't fun if you're making them about other people and they can't hear them, because then it just feels like you're actually being mean instead of, trying to make the person laugh. Some of the other things that I thought for E3, but I don't know that they're going to happen. I think I kind of talked about all of them, actually. I thought there was something else that I was going to mention, but I do wonder if Dragon Quest 12 shows up in some way, that we see it for the first time here, or at least Dragon Quest 3 HD. And like, I do think we get more stuff from Square and Ubisoft at their presentations. We didn't talk too much about that, other than I mentioned like Final Fantasy stuff comes up. So I mean, it could, but yeah, I feel like at this point, Square just likes putting stuff out on the Switch, so they could very well put out some more stuff on the Switch, whatever that ends up being. But Dragon Quest 3 HD seems like one that they'll probably aim particularly at the Switch. So they might talk about it. Hey,
I am back.
Yeah, he's back.
What are we talking about?
You're back. I was saying that at E3, I expect, I was going to think of some way to try to pretend to make fun of you, but no, I was talking about Dragon Quest and things like that, and wondering if Dragon Quest 12 shows up at E3, but not.
Yeah, I was thinking about Dragon Quest 12 too, but like they didn't even they showed nothing during the reveal, so it'll be kind of weird for them to like.
Yeah, I mean, like maybe companies are trying to do the whole like get people talking about it so that when they see it, it's more exciting. But who knows? You got your food. I believe in you. All right, here's Q&A. Some of these things are pretty quick ones, so we'll see as they happen. And some we probably already talked about as well, but we'll see. From YouTube community, I asked people how likely they thought we were to see Metroid Prime 4 at all, whether like we'll actually see it, we won't see it even a little bit, or it'll get mentioned like maybe, like Metroid Prime 4 is going well, that kind of thing, like we were talking about.
Still working on it.
Said, yeah, exactly. Cool said, I'm very sure we're seeing something Metroid Prime 4 related. I'm just not sure how much we'll be seeing. Otherwise, after Steve got added to Smash, everyone is saying that you officially can't say that a character doesn't fit Smash or doesn't make sense. I still think there are many characters that can't be in Smash and don't make sense to be in Smash, like pretty much every Rockstar character, BJ from Wolfenstein, most Resident Evil characters, etc. Who do you think out of the most popular requests just doesn't make sense or just doesn't fit to be a fighter?
I'm absolutely on board with people saying that there's like no characters off limits except for maybe characters outside of video games.
Mm-hmm.
I think that there's characters that are like less likely or whatever in theory, but like we don't actually know who any of those characters are, because if Nintendo wants the character in the video game, if Sakurai wants the character in the video game, they will be in the video game. So it's just like, it's not really up to us, it's up to them.
Yeah.
If Sakurai's a huge Wolfenstein fan, you can bet that BJ is going to be in the video game. Same thing with like Resident Evil and all that stuff. So like the only characters in that category for me is like Goku, like Shrek, SpongeBob. But outside of that, it's like I can see a Resident Evil character get added to the game tomorrow. I could see the vampire lady freaking get added.
She's too tall. You can't. Yeah, I think I would generally agree.
A couple inches taller than Bayonetta.
I would generally
agree. No, I think she's like a foot taller than Bayonetta.
She's like 8 foot something, I want to say. She's pretty tall.
Yeah, Bayonetta's like 8 foot, and the
really?
lady's like, yeah, she's like.
I didn't know Bayonetta was that tall.
Yeah, she's big tall. Bayonetta's like 8 feet taller than the vampire lady is like a foot and a half taller than her. I think.
Crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I agree that technically nothing's off the table, but I think just there's a lot of like, but why though? Kinds of characters where like, like a Rockstar character.
Yeah. But even then, I think that it's like they're in the same category as like a Goomba.
Yeah, right.
Like why would they put a Goomba in there?
Exactly.
Probably not, but it could.
Yeah,
it could.
Yep, I totally agree with that. Where it's more just like I can't envision Nintendo feeling like wanting to, but that doesn't mean that if they did want to, that it couldn't happen.
To me, there's characters that like would be like left field, like whoa, like I would have never thought that. But to phrase it as like this doesn't make sense, just like that line of logic died a long time ago. Piranha Plant does not make sense, but he's in the video game. Like
Very
Bayonetta
true.
does
Yeah.
not make sense, also in the video game.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, man. But yeah, good question. That's fun to think about. Just Waluigi asked, if Nintendo were to reveal a 2D Metroid collection of Zero Mission, Samus Returns, Super in widescreen, and Zero Mission, would you be excited they're giving the main Metroid series a second chance after the failure of Samus Return, or disappointed there's not a new game?
I don't know if I would call Samus Returns a failure.
Yeah, I
wouldn't. Swan song of a game and a franchise that already didn't really sell that well. I think it sold like 2 million copies or something like that, which is actually pretty good.
If it did, I'm gonna look it up real quick. Sales of Samus. I felt like it was more like 1 million and something, but this says 500,000. I mean,
I thought even if said something about it selling 1 million at least, but even then, like,
yeah,
I just think that any figure that they would have got, if it was more than 250,000,
yeah,
it's like, what else could you hope for? It was like one of those games that got announced and people were like, I'm not playing this. It should have been on Switch.
Yes.
So like that in tandem with the fact that it's a Metroid game is like, what else are you going to do?
Yeah, I think its only failure was just the fact that it was a 3DS game and that stuff. Yeah. Like it's, similarly, like Luigi's Mansion 3 sold fantastic. Luigi's Mansion on 3DS, the remake or port or whatever, probably didn't sell well at all.
What? Because the first Luigi.
Yeah, the first one coming. Because it was just. It's a point where people just didn't want to buy 3DS games anymore. That's it.
And you have to think that they expected as much, especially with Metroid. Yeah. Like they didn't expect Metroid to sell crazy units.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that calling it a failure is like off base.
But I mean,
I could see all those games coming to Switch and a collection. I mean, maybe not in the same collection. Like Samus Returns seems like the sort of thing that they would make its own thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think for me, as far as like the trajectory of Metroid, I think it would be a misstep to do a port collection of those right now. But I wouldn't be mad about it. Like it would be nice to get to play those. Because we can play Super right now. And I mean, I've played one before and it's not the best.
Yeah, like me personally, I don't really care to play older Metroid 2D Metroid games. I'd play the trilogy of Metroid Prime because it's like, I don't know if Prime 4 is going to like build off of it at all or whatever.
Right.
But, like,
yeah, exactly.
It's closer to a game style that I would want to play in the year of our Lord 2020. 1 or 2 or 3 or 4. 2D
Good
Metroid,
save.
not really something that I need in my life. Something that is like littered on the eShop already, and I already do not play Metroidvanias. So like a 3D one, I'm down, but I don't need another 2D one. If it's it's new, I'll play it. But like,
right, yeah. Answer for me is I wouldn't be disappointed. I wouldn't be disappointed for me specifically, but I'd be a little like disappointed on their behalf of like, guys, come on, come on, guys,
get it, pick the smart thing to this.
So good question. Paulie Kakamise. Oh, I probably said that wrong. Sorry. Said, we all have been so conditioned to not expect absolutely anything about Metroid Prime 4 that none of us even have any hope or are even crossing our fingers at this point. But it's time, right?
No, I mean, not that it's not time, but I would say no to the former part of that, because I think that a lot of Nintendo fans do that in an effort to sound like they're in the know. And we talk about this from time to time, where it's like the strat is like, I've guessed this so many times and I was wrong every time, so I want to be right for once. It's not happening,
right?
But I think that there's just certain things that you can look at in the tea leaves that like it was easy to be like, we're not seeing Metroid Prime anytime soon, when Nintendo came out and was like, dude, we're delaying it. Like the first time that I was like, we'll probably see Metroid at the Game Awards, it was under the assumption that the game was going, about as well as any other game that they would announce in that way. Like it's an anomaly for them to announce a game, come 2-3 years later and be like, yeah, guys, game's not working great. You know, like that
Yeah.
doesn't happen very often, if ever.
Yeah.
So I think that like people at least in that time frame, like 2018 to like 2020, it makes sense to say like it's not happening. But I think anybody beyond 2020 that's saying like there's no way that it could ever happen is just trying to be right about something.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very confident that we're 100%. We are going to hear about it this year. Like, there's no doubt in my mind that we're going to hear about it. I think
even if the game's not working great, we'll see you back in 3 years.
Right.
Like,
we're I think we're very likely to hear about it, like we said before, on Tuesday. But I think we're also pretty likely to actually see the game by the end of the year, Game Awards. Like, I wouldn't be at all shocked at a Metroid Prime trilogy announcement and a Metroid Prime 4 CGI teaser. Like, they've got plenty enough material at this point that they could throw together a teaser trailer, you know? So
and it's like time. As Sony has demonstrated time and time again, you don't need a whole lot of material to throw together a CGI trailer. Literally all you need is like, all right, here's the game direction, here's the character designs, make the trailer.
Yep, that's it. So Seven said, holds up Men in Black memory eraser and puts on glasses. There is no Metroid Prime 4. Metroid does not exist. You've never seen nor heard of Metroid. Of a what? Never heard of a.
I don't even know what we're talking
who's
about.
to say?
What are you even talking about?
Brandon Hart said, you've probably talked a bit about a potential Mario Kart 9. What approach would you like to see? An everyone is here style of game where all characters and courses make a return, or something with a refreshed roster and new tracks? Fingers crossed for baby Waluigi.
I don't know, man. I don't know. We've never thought about that, even a single time. Never thought of it.
Yeah, we've got a video on that stuff. I honestly, I don't remember what my suggestion was for that. All I remember was that the video was not Nintendo Kart.
Yes.
Not so much to be contrarian.
Waluigi. Moving on.
Trevor Steinberg, hey Trev, said, if Breath of the Wild 2 has no new mechanics, but instead is the same game with a new areas and a more complete story, will you be disappointed? Unrelated part 2. Well, then I'll wait for unrelated part 2.
I wouldn't be disappointed. I've like just having a reason to play Breath of the Wild, like with new content and stuff like that, is good enough for me.
Yeah, honestly.
I think that like Breath of the Wild, the only way that Breath of the Wild 2 could like blow my mind and be like this thing that's like, oh my god, it's freaking crazy, is to have new mechanics, new systems, blah blah blah, stuff. But like bare minimum, all Breath of the Wild needs to do is give me more things to do in the world.
Yeah.
And I'm cool with that. Like, give me a new campaign to play through.
I mean, like, how many games? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely going to be new mechanics and stuff. So, like, that's why we're so excited for it. But yeah, I mean, like, how many games have been pretty much the same game in a new place? You know, like, I don't know, Assassin's Creed or Far Cry or something like that. You know,
it's not something that Nintendo does.
No, exactly. So yeah, good question. Unrelated second part. Why won't Nintendo port the original Mario Party and Kart from 64? I believe those games would sell like crazy. I still think OG Mario Party is the best Mario Party.
I think it's mostly because not everybody, like, nostalgia is personal. Like, although like a lot of times it doesn't feel that way, a lot of those games are not as big to the general like public as you would think they are, right? Like, people have fond memories of those games and stuff like that, but they're not going to sell gangbusters. That's why the
friend
virtual
groups have strong memories of that, which makes it feel like it's even you know, bigger or whatever.
But it's like, if those games were going to be as big as everybody thinks they are and were, virtual console will still be a thing. But they just don't. There's like a select group of people that when they see those games, they're like, man, this game is the biggest thing in the world. You know, like, this is great. Everybody that I knew when I was growing up played this game. It was the star of parties and whatnot, right? But like, at the end of the day, you got to remember it. N64 sold what, 30 million units? Like, and there's going to be like a few extra people that go through and they're like, oh yeah, there's going to be the group of people that grew like us that grew up with it and we're like, oh, I remember Block Fort. I'll freaking buy that. And then there's going to be a smaller group added on to that are curious because of us being like, yo, Block Fort is the best Mario Party.
Played it at their friend's
Mario
house
Party.
or something
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that, you know.
And then there's going to be stragglers where it's like, ooh, new game I never played. But
so many people, I mean, like it's hard to sell people on an old game, even if it's new, you know, like,
right.
I mean, the number of people that picked up Super Mario 3D All-Stars played Super Mario 64 for like an hour, 20 minutes, and we're like, nah.
Yeah. It's like those purchases usually happen, and that's why they're not like as like pressing for people. They don't these games don't fly off the shelves because people at the end of the day know themselves. So they're like, I could buy this game, play it twice, and never touch it again. And the reason why I bought it is for the peace of mind, knowing that if I want to play it for another 2 hours, I have it. Or I could just not buy it and buy a new game.
Or buy it later for a different time that I'll want the 2 hours, and then that
exactly like maybe like maybe I'll buy it later, and then they never buy it later. So like Nintendo, knowing that people are like that and they're like, I don't really need this, so I'm not going to buy it, was like, yeah, I know you're going to say that you're going to buy it later, but we're going to take that option away. So people are like, oh shoot, all right, well I got to buy it now, you know.
So I mean, that's why I think with all this stuff, and obviously you too, that it's, instead of selling these games one-off, they're trying to think of the best way, or they've thought of and are just waiting to pull the trigger on the best way to really leverage their
maybe what they do here is they do a Mario Party All-Stars, and it's Mario Party, and not even like that's poor branding, because I don't even necessarily mean Mario Party. I mean like Mario Party, like Mario Kart 64, and like freaking Mario Golf from the exactly, and like package that as an N64 throwback sort of situation. More so than I would see them like just port one-off games that are like popular amongst
I mean, for
unless
me,
they
the most
like
likely
remastered it or whatever.
For me, the most likely is doing switching up the way they do their online service and just adding more stuff to their online service, but it being like, you can keep the annual service with just SNES and NES games, or you can switch to this monthly service that has those and N64 and Game Boy Advance and Game Boy and blah blah blah, like that kind of a thing, like a Netflix style instead. At which point then I don't see them bringing over that many more games, but I don't know. It's weird. I don't know. It's weird that they haven't figured out something like that yet, or done something like that yet, but they're obviously playing the long game at this point. And
I think that
their long game is so much longer thought out
I just
than
think
it ever has been before.
I think the reality is it's not that weird. Like I think the reason why they're dragging their feet on it is because it's not doing much for them. It's not really moving the needle. It's like, it's something we care about, but it's not something that is a big priority to us because it's not making us that much money.
Well, and because I think too, like when the Wii happens, they weren't thinking of the Wii U at the start of the Wii, you know, like they just made the Wii and had virtual console because they're like, I don't know, we'll try this out. And then by the time the Wii U came around, they're like, okay, we figured out the Wii U. What do we do with the virtual console? I guess we reset it pretty much. And then they do, you know, those kinds of things. But then like at the beginning of the Switch, pretty early on, I think they realized that was kind of a mistake to just play it by ear as you go. And that like they've decided on a long-term game plan and now they're just rolling it out. But it's like, it's going to take a while because their game plan is looking further ahead than it ever has before. Whereas with the Wii, they were like, we're just going to put a bunch of games up.
We're just going to do what we did before. With the Wii U.
Right. Exactly. So, questions from Twitter. 7 asked, do you think we'll see Pokemon info during or after the Direct?
I think we'll see Pokemon like brief mentions, maybe a tidbit of information at the Direct, because Pokemon does their own thing, and I think we'll see more info after.
Yeah, I mean, I think we'll see a short trailer for Gen 4 remakes that talks about some additional thing that's happening in the game, whether it's quality of life changes or
the
underground game mode, something like that. And then it's probably one of the games that's in their Treehouse, like we talked about. Probably. But so before and after, I mean during and after, I think. But Falcon asked, did you miss me? Yes,
of course.
But what is something you do not want to see at the Ninty E3 on Tuesday?
Rabbits.
You're so salty about rabbits.
I mean, dumb, man. It's stupid.
I don't. Probably AJ. That's that. No,
that's Cat. That's not true.
Oh, it's a joke and a lie. All tricks.
All tricks.
This isn't a great answer, but I think there's no individual one thing I don't want to see, but it's more the practice of I don't want to see something that's drawn out too long to where I feel like it's eating up the rest of the direct, you know.
Yeah,
where it's
I think my real answer is I don't want to see anything we've already seen.
Yeah. Oh,
like Breath of the Wild is the exception there, obviously, because we haven't really seen it. You know, Metroid also they said like I don't want to see Gen 4 Pokemon games and let like maybe Arceus because we don't really know that much about it. But I don't need to see the Gen 4 remakes. I just
or Mario Golf or Skyward Sword. Like I mean, I only put those there because like E3 2019 was literally like 10 games that we already knew about.
Yeah, granted, I think
a little bit more about. But
I think that that's a special case though, because 2019 we came into 2019 knowing 2019 was going to be crazy. 2021 is like kind of the opposite of that. Like 2021 is like the 2017, you know, before we got to you know.
Which is why I don't want to have my expectations too high. So I'm expecting more like 2019, where like 2019 was great because of Breath of the Wild 2. That was otherwise it was like, it's fine as far as an E3 goes, it's whatever. So I'm expecting more like that, but I would love more of a 2017 kind of thing. Yeah, I agree. I'd love to not see many things that we already know about. And especially even if we see games that we know about, learning new things about
we
them.
need to learn a lot that we don't know. And like, see, the thing is like the games that we know and that we think like the Mario Golfs, the Skyward Swords and stuff, like nothing that we can learn at E3 will have me walking away like, man, I'm glad they showed that game. It's going to be a stopgap for me. It's going to be when my eyes glaze over and I stop listening. Like, and that's why I hope that they don't show those games. I wouldn't be surprised if they did.
Digital Gaming Hub, who recently did a blind playthrough or something of Glyph, which that was impressive. So Digital Gaming Hub, go check them out. What genre / style of game would you like Nintendo to create as their next big brand new game? So not anything we've seen before.
I mean, they've pretty much done everything as far as like genres that I care about. So I mean, other than like they still don't have like the Sony third person like big action game sort of deal, you know. Like Breath of the Wild is sort of that, but not really. I would like to see them do that, preferably with like a Star Fox. I think Star Fox is like primed for something like that. So maybe
I'm imagining it with F-Zero and imagining taking Captain Falcon seriously. And that's so funny to me.
Which is why it's crazy that it's easier to take Star Fox serious than it is to take freaking Captain Falcon serious.
So many moves.
Captain Falcon had well, I don't know how, like, I don't know if this is like relevant to you. Like, I don't know if you'll know this reference, but like he has great Saiyaman energy to me, where it's like I can't look at this dude and be like, yeah, he's cool.
I agree. I don't know what Saiyaman is, but
Great Saiyaman is like Gohan's Superman persona in Dragon Ball, and he's like very corny. Like he just says all this stuff that a teenage nerd thinks sounds cool. It's like that. That's like the type of.
And is that intentional that he's supposed to sound corny, or are they trying to make him sound like cool?
For the creators of Dragon Ball? Yeah, it's intentional that he's supposed to sound
Okay,
corny.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's good. That's a good answer. I mean, for me, like, I'd be interested in them trying, like, they just don't have that many actual RPGs.
Oh
like
my god, shut up, please.
I'm just saying.
Like, what? They have so many RPGs.
What are you talking about? They've got Fire Emblem, which is a strategy RPG, which is not just a like standard turn-based RPG.
They have Metopia. That's an RPG that literally just came out.
I mean, yeah, but like that's not. Yeah, that's
their directs are always mostly RPGs.
I mean, but it's almost always third-party stuff. So I'm thinking like first-party
RPG.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking. But no, yeah, as far as like on the Switch, there's millions of RPGs. That's not. Yeah. But it's just like just Nintendo does it differently, and so like
I just think that like when I'm thinking of like new IP that I want them to work on, if like this is like the like a genre that they haven't like left their mark on, they have firmly left their mark on the RPG genre. I think.
Yes.
Like.
I would agree. So, but yeah, I like your third person adventure.
How would you see them doing an RPG that would be different? Like, that's not me. Like,
yeah.
That's not a leading question. Genuinely.
I mean, and also not a to be the quintessential answer, but Golden Sun, still to me.
But you just mentioned an existing game.
If they do a new one of those, I'll be happy. Yeah. So like. Something that it does that I just truly have not found in another turn-based RPG is having the turn-based RPG stuff, but also the puzzles from like a Zelda kind of game.
Right.
Like just for the most part, there might be some puzzles sort of in turn-based RPGs, but generally not. Like not anything particularly.
They're
fun.
Like very like.
That's
not even
not
really
part
puzzles.
Of the core.
Yeah, like Pokemon type puzzles where it's like usually if
Push
you
some
just
blocks.
if you follow where the enemies are, then you're going to solve the puzzle.
Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of thing that it usually is. So that's the thing that Golden Sun, for example, does very well that I think a lot of others don't. So that's so whatever it ends up being, I think doing something where like I feel like they would take a new spin on RPGs to add in something else. Well, even if it's not specifically puzzles. I don't know. I mean, obviously that's what they planned to do with like Paper Mario and stuff is have it also be a platformer as well as be an RPG and also be a little bit of an action game, with like Super Paper RPG or Super Paper Mario stuff. But I don't know. Yeah. Otherwise I'm good with your idea as long as they bring back Golden Sun. That's how I feel. I love beating that dead horse. Kate said, do y'all think we'll finally see a Zelda themed Switch, Pro or otherwise?
Specifically at E3? No.
Yeah, true.
But
no.
For Breath of the Wild 2, absolutely.
I agree.
For sure.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. All right, and then Discord. Here we go. Duncan said, Nintendo Switch Lite XL. Let's go.
That's just regular Switch.
I love it. Just you got to glue the Joy-Cons to the side.
Yeah.
That's it. Alec is baking HD 2D Golden Sun plus Lost HDX.
Ew, that's nasty. I hate that.
And Justin
specifically
said,
the HD 2D part.
It wouldn't work particularly well. I mean, if you're like as a one-to-one to the Octopath style,
the HD 2D term is stupid, and I hate the market. I vehemently hate whoever came up with that term.
So yeah, as far as like, just in general, Golden Sun is more complex looking than like a traditional sprite based game like like Dragon Quest 3 is or Octopath is or whatever. So it would have to be something different, like a different meaning of that. But I mean, yeah, if we're just talking about a collection of those games or remaster of those games or whatever, I'm fully on board. I mean, even if they do HD 2D, I don't care. Like,
I don't care if they do it. They just better not call it that.
Right. Justin says, I know not to get up my hopes, you enchantress. All right. Rise Gang said, what would you think about a playable Zelda versus Boy Zelda playing differently? And you choose one at the beginning of a Breath of the Wild playthrough, and it changed how puzzles are completed because each of them have different move sets of sorts, and you can replay the game again as the other for some sort of replayability.
That'd be sick. I'd want that if given a choice between but the thing is, like, honestly, I think almost nobody would play as Boy Zelda at that point.
Yeah, right.
Because like I did this already.
Like nobody plays as Mario. Everybody plays
exactly.
as
like
anything else. Yeah,
been here, done that.
Yeah,
like
I mean, I would prefer them to be like you both. Can switch between during the game, but as far as them completing things differently and interacting differently, because that's already how Breath of the Wild was set up, was like you can interact with things differently and stuff. Fully agreed there. That's like, I hope that they, because you can just complete puzzles with stasis or with cryonis or with bombs or whatever, like so similarly, I hope that they have different things where they can both interact in different ways but still solve puzzles, and maybe some of them you have to specifically be one or the other, but
yeah. I mean, I would prefer if it was like both of them, like all things were solvable with either, but it just would maybe take more or like a different approach depending on the character. And like my assumption here wouldn't even necessarily be that like you pick between Boy Zelda and Girl Link at the beginning of the game and that's just who you have, but rather it's like it's kind of like a Octopath thing where it's like, oh, I'm going to start with this playthrough and that'll like loop into whoever I get next or whatever.
Because it's not like otherwise like a fully replayable, because it's a different character thing, works in something like Resident Evil 2 because it's a shorter game, whereas with this, like it would give replayability, but still like exploration is a big part of that. So I don't know that I'd want to play 250 hours again with the other character, because some of the things would be fresh, but a lot of it would still be like, oh yeah, that's the mountains where I know that thing is or whatever. But yeah, Sardi says, to add on, would it be more interesting to you to have to replay the exact same but with different tools, or have two swappable stories in parallel like they did with Leon and Claire in RE2? There we go. Hey, look at that.
I think like playing the whole game all over again would not be something I want to do, and especially like back to back. Like if it was like replay the whole game all over again, it was kind of like how I like play it on stream, like that would be cool, because Breath of the Wild to me, every time I play it now feels close to new. Where it's like I even don't even know the controls for the first 10 minutes.
Oh my goodness,
how do I even throw things? Like every time I like come back to the game on stream, I'm like, what? But yeah, like I would rather having to switch, or not having to, but like being able to switch between the two in parallel rather than having to play through an entire game only as one. Or the other.
I agree. And last but not least, Mega Man Diddy Kong Racing.
I had no idea he liked that game.
You said it all.
I never would have guessed.
All right, and that's it for E3 discussion and all of that. I was gonna have us talk about our Loki episode 1 thoughts, but you know what? It's getting late.
Sure. We'll do it next time.
We'll do it next time. Yeah, but man, it's good. That's all I'll say. It's been a fun time. So
it's good.
That's it from us. Hey, we'll see everybody on Tuesday, hopefully, to watch
Twitch.tv/fanatixfour. We're going to talk about the E3. We're going to be happy. We're going to be angry. We're going to be sad. In what order and to what degree for all three of those things?
We'll see.
Go to Twitch.tv/fanatixfour Tuesday at we'll probably start 11:30 a.m. Eastern time or something like that. Ring the bell to know. Subscribe on this YouTube channel. Subscribe on our main YouTube channel. Goodbye.
Bye.